Knock knock.
Who's there?
Doctor.
Doctor Who.
Spoilers. So this is our discuss. This is going to be our full discussion video on Skyfall.
Think it's Skyfall.
No, I mean Skyfall. Fail.
Sure it is.
Okay, so this is going to be our full-on discussion of Skyfall. Like spoilers, no hold bar, punching it in the gut, singing, "I'm a man." Oh, Link Hard references. Yeah. Okay, so let's start off with the title of the movie. We were discussing this.
Oh yeah.
The reference of Skyfall is to his family estate.
Pretty much. And it appears like right at the last act of the movie, when you're not even thinking about the title anymore, then suddenly Skyfall, and you're like, that's it?
Yeah,
really?
yeah. It was like, at first I was like, on the next part I'm like, wait, what? That's what the title of the movie comes from? His family estate? And of course then we learned that James Bond is Batman.
Basically.
It was like I was waiting for them to say that his parents died when he was 8 in an alley outside of a movie theater.
That was showing some version of the Zorro.
Yeah.
And then instead of, dedicating the next portion of his life to becoming a crime fighter, the English Secret Service picked him up and turned him into James Bond.
Which is actually a pretty compelling storyline for Batman. It was what if he what if he was picked up by the CIA before he became Batman?
I would totally read that.
Talk to Gail Simone. But yeah.
And what would you call that? Batman,
Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, wait.
No, that doesn't work. Batman, secret agent.
Yeah.
No. Bruce Wayne, secret agent.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. We'll think of
Agent Wayne.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Now we're supposed to be talking about Skyfall here.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about Skyfall is completely pointless, honestly.
Like, the first time they mentioned Skyfall is in this earlier scene where they have this word association thing, and then the psychiatrist or whatever goes Skyfall, and James Bond freaks out. He doesn't
kind of throws a hissy fit and just leaves the room. He's like, rage quit.
And you're like, whoa, whatever Skyfall is, it must be intense. And then it's just this state, and he's like, I miss mommy and daddy so much, even though I barely remember them because I grew up in MI6.
I'm Batman. I'm Bondman.
Bondman.
Yeah, but yeah, because I was always thinking that Skyfall had to be something big and significant if the entire movie was named after it. Like I thought it was going to. I mean, I was thinking about it, and it should have been something like a mission that he screwed up, and I think they could have even played that into the whole thing of is James Bond getting too old?
Yeah, well, their ongoing theme, which didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
if it had been some kind of mission that went so wrong that he still got post-traumatic stress from it.
Yeah, that
would have made so much sense. That would have made the movie that much
better.
Yeah. And then with the whole theme of this villain guy, Mr. Silva or whatever, having these abandonment issues because M left him to get tortured, that would place.
Yeah.
I mean, that villain's got his issues, but there would have been something that they had in common instead of just M mentored us both, and she's sort of allowed this.
And I have an Oedipus complex. I mean, no. I have an Oedipus complex with everyone. Yeah, but yeah.
That would have been something strong because he's got post-traumatic stress, and this person was literally left to be tortured, and they failed to use a cyanide pill correctly.
Epic fail. Epic fail.
How do you not use a cyanide pill? It's like you bite it, you choke on it.
I was reading on some things that occasionally cyanide pills do fail, but I also read that they're not like they're not acids. Yeah, and really, how did someone point out how does the top of his mouth get burned, but his tongue is still fine, he can still talk? the only explanation was that he was hanging upside down when he bit it, and it just kind of fell into the top. But it's not explained.
It's just like, what?
Yeah, and that's the problem with the movie. Nothing is ever explained.
It's just like stuff happens. YOLO.
Go with the flow. But yeah.
Can we talk about the red herring Bond girl?
Ah, yes. My least favorite part of that movie. I really liked her character. I mean, not just because she was hot, but because she actually had an interesting backstory.
Like, you felt sorry for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, apart from him, she was the only character that you were rooting for.
Yeah, and because she comes in and she was the and of course she looks like she's going to be the stereotypical femme fatale. But then James Bond pulls up her hand and he's like, "You have this tattoo. That was a sex trade. What were you, 12 or 13?" And then
she becomes this vulnerable person who's risking her life basically to help James Bond. And in the off chance that he might be able to save her from this life. From
Mr. Silva. And it was like, and that was one of the only moments in the entire movie that I honestly felt for a character, because James Bond, I don't know, James Bond always has this certain air of superiority to everyone, so you never really feel for him.
Except in maybe a good movie.
Like a Casino Royale, you really felt for him after Vesper died. And you're just like, whoa. And I mean, this...
That's why I only saw Skyfall in its entirety.
Oh yeah.
Barely saw anything.
Spoilers.
That's not a spoiler, that's just a fact.
Yeah, so yeah, this woman comes in and basically it was, "Please help me. I don't want to do this anymore," because Bond is basically like, "I can help you." And so she's like, "If you can, meet me in the dock in an hour on this boat." And then Bond runs into some goons and fights them and ends up
in a pit with
CGI Komodo dragons.
Hey yo!
Yeah. That's like a running gag with this. There's like CGI Komodo dragons.
No fun. Stop it.
What?
We're sorry.
Okay.
All right, but this is what
moving on.
Yeah, this is what happens when you do something like this with a room full of people. But so one thing that I don't get is Bond, the fight that had these guys was what, 5 minutes, if that.
Mm-hmm. And then this is the one scene where Money Quarter actually does something.
Yeah, Money Quarter. We'll have to talk about her later.
Yeah, but later we're still talking about one thing.
Yeah, and he said it'll leave in an hour. So either Bond dicked around for a long time and then waited for it to come in dramatically, or he's just really slow. Oh, Bond, you're getting old. No, I'm not. Let me get to that one woman. She's super hot, ain't she? She's a Bond girl.
Oh god. And then this scene, one of the worst scenes in the entire movie.
Oh, yeah. So when he basically, so she's on the boat and
they're about to leave now, so she's very distraught. So the director says that this is the best party to have some good old-fashioned fan service, and she goes and takes a shower.
Yeah, and of course, it's all frosted glass and stuff, but it seems a little gratuitous. So
and then it gets even more gratuitous.
So what happens is she obviously was very distraught with the fact that Bond didn't come, because either he didn't care and he broke the promise, or he's dead. Killed by.
Let's say it together now.
Oh.
CGI
Komodo dragons, or Odd Job wannabe.
Yeah.
The big Asian guy kind of looked like Odd Job, or who was the
Random Task.
Random Task. Yeah.
Like basically, he comes to the screen, and I've only seen the what's it called, Austin Powers movie. That's the James Bond exposure I have, and I'm like, it's Random Task.
I was expecting the guy to pull on a bowler hat or something,
or a shoe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe he was a reference to.
Yeah, maybe it was another reference to the Bond. Oh yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. So
Bond walks in on this woman in the shower.
In the shower.
He's completely naked. He comes in and they obviously have sex.
And you're like, what? How? Why?
I didn't even notice this at first until I watched Linkara's review of Skyfall, and he was talking about how he said this woman was a sex slave from her preteens,
and he walks in on her shower
and just has
like,
sex with her. It's like
in his birthday suit, and he's like,
And he-
"Want a shag?"
I mean, even if it was something that she wanted to sleep with him, which is fine if she wanted to. But it was almost like Bond came in and he's like, "Let's have sex," and then she's just like, "Okay." And it got me thinking about that one scene in Casino Royale where Vesper has that freak out after those guys who were troubling Le Chiffre are killed, and James Bond is like, Bob beats the crap out of him, and of course he's all scarred up and stuff, and she goes back and he finds her in the shower, and she's just sitting there shivering in her dress, and he comes in and he just sits down and he kind of sits with her and kind of holds her hand, and you're just like, wow, that's an emotional scene, because originally I read about that. In that scene, Vesper was supposed to be naked, but Daniel Craig said that she should be wearing her clothes because he didn't think it was right for her to be naked because it was gratuitous. So, bonus points for Daniel Craig there. And but this scene, it was kind of gratuitous, and because I didn't see the point of it other than surprise butt sex.
Hey, sorry that I'm late, but I'm the pretty eyes. Let's.
Yeah. Look into my pretty eyes. You have been hypnotized by my blue Daniel Craig eyes. I've stabbed into your soul.
Okay.
So.
I mean, I never saw Daniel Craig's pretty eyes in person, but I don't think they're that pretty that I would forgive him for leaving me stranded for over an hour and walking in on me on the shower in his birthday suit and demanding sexy times. I mean, who does he think he is?
I'm James Bond. I'm Bond man.
Well, this is my right hand. Want to get acquainted?
Yeah, you better get acquainted with your right hand too. But
Oh god.
So, alright. So continuing what happened. After the sexy time, they come in, and it cuts to the boat is going up to this island, and James Bond walks out with this look that just says, I just got laid. But
And the best part, I think, at least now that I think of it, is that the goons are there, and he's on the ship, and they're not even surprised or whatever. They're like, oh, yeah, he snuck into the boat. Whatever.
yeah, and then he goes up to her, and they start talking, and does she say that, do you want to turn back now? And the goons walk up behind them, and don't they have like guns and stuff? And he's like, well, I guess not. So they get to this island, and they talk about how it was the Mr. Silva had forced people to abandon it through his computer, making people think there was a chemical spill or something.
And it's insinuated that he just did this recently.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the place looks like
It's been deserted for decades.
as if there actually has been a real chemical spill or something like that, because it looks terrible. Like, it doesn't just look abandoned.
Yeah, and
it looks destroyed.
All the did I compare this to Limbo in Inception when we were watching?
It's sort of, I think so. You might have mentioned it.
Yeah, because all the buildings are this dreary, like, kind of...
And there's, like, rust and stuff everywhere.
Yeah, and there's blaring, like, it seems like 50s music or like, oldie music, though that just might be Mr. Silva's preference.
Yeah.
We know his preferences. But... So they go in there and on this island, and this is where she's explaining what happened ambiguously because the writing sucks in this movie, and they get separated, and Bond gets brought to Mr. Silva, and then of course we have to talk about Mr. Silva's introduction here before we get back to that moment.
You want to reenact Silva's introduction?
Yes, elevate. So Bond is tied to a chair, and there's like this, looks like an abandoned church. It's cleared out, and there are just stacks of like computer stuff, like motherboard.
Which should be like making a ridiculously loud noise.
Her laptop is freaking loud. So I mean, if you have like stacks and stacks of what I'm guessing is like supercomputer stuff, and like I'm pretty sure that this is going to be loud, and it might even be hot too. Because I mean, I'm sure that those exert a lot of heat.
Yep.
But I'm not a computer person, so this is only what I read on the internet. But you can trust everything on the internet, right? Yeah. So Mr. Silva, he's come down on this elevator, and I go. Rat metaphor.
Yeah, just like that. It opens and he doesn't even pause to introduce himself or something. I only figured out his name was Mr. Silva because later people started calling him that, and I might have even missed that.
I don't even think he introduced himself. I think it was M. When after he got captured, is when she said that his name is Rodrigo Bardem. I don't know. He was. This is No Country for Old Men. But
so basically, yeah, he walks in there and talks about his brat metaphor,
Yeah.
which raises a whole bunch of questions.
yeah, let's talk about it since we didn't actually do this in our reviews.
Mm-hmm.
The rat metaphor is basically talking about a story from his grandmother.
Something like that, or his aunt or something like
on
that.
this island, and how all these rats had started to eat all the coconuts. So he said, how do you get rid of them? You basically do this coconut suspended thing, and you have this pit, and then all the rats would be drawn to it, and after a month, all the rats would have fallen into it. And he's like, and then you just let them eat each other because they're going to get very hungry. And no, he wasn't Russian. He kind of has this ambiguous accent. I don't know.
It's supposedly Spanish, but
Yeah,
I'm bad with accents, so I wouldn't know.
And he's supposed to be a British agent, and but
Yeah, I don't know how MI6 works.
how do I accents?
So basically, accents aside or whatever, rat pits, they eat each other, and then there's only two left, and then their natures have changed.
He says you take the rats and you release them to the other rats. So they've been trained to eat rat. So he was trying to say that him and Bond were the two rats who have been conditioned by M to eat other rats, which
I'm guessing it means that she's turned them into killers.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
what in that metaphor?
it's implied. I'm insinuating that it's saying that they've been taught to cannibalize other agents.
to kill other agents.
Yeah, it's
or
like
something, and
wait,
you're like,
what?
Wait, what? I thought they were just trained.
They're
in
trained
warfare.
killers.
That doesn't mean they were. It doesn't mean they were like getting rid of the other competition. They're literally only James Bond and this other dude who have been doing everything.
Yeah, pretty much. You see, that's why they have one guy named James Bond throughout 50 years, because they can't afford to keep any other good agents. They're all sacks of potatoes. Yeah. So he comes in and besides this whole metaphor being confusing and basically throwing in our face, look how similar they are.
And like we said before, it would have made more sense if Skyfall had been a mistake and a failed mission, but
and honestly, it could have been something related to Mr. Silva, because you need an establishment for your villain.
Yeah, because all you hear is like, oh, he must know something because
He was one of us.
He
was one of us. He is so dangerous.
hacked into our system, and it's like, remember your sins. Woo!
Yeah, think on your sins. No, and really, at the very end, when Bond throws a knife at him and he comes in, he should have said, "Have you been thinking on your sins?" And I mean that would have been a great moment, even if it was supposed to be some sad moment where M's dying. It's like,
Well, there was this sad moment of, wait, we gotta get there.
Yeah. All right. So we're back after he does his whole metaphor, and
And then he acts all...
Yeah, no, actually not yet. Remember, he goes and talks about the how M lied to him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he goes, does he explain his station? I think that's where he explained where he was stationed, and he talked about how M betrayed him, or something like that.
He doesn't reveal what was done to him until later, but he says, yeah, that she betrayed him. And then he was like, you can't trust her. And he's like, I do trust her. And then he's like, what did she tell you about your test results?
He's like, I passed.
And he's like, you failed.
yeah, you suck. and he pulled up, he's like, physical, fail. Psych evaluation, fail. Do this, fail, 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 fail.
And then this is what I literally said in the movie theater. It's like, you're finding out the fact that she lied to me to protect my feelings. I'm never gonna trust that woman again.
Yeah, and the fact that, remember, James Bond is the only agent who's not a sack of potatoes. And Mr. Silva is trying to say that she sent you in knowing that you weren't good. You were out
Like you
of
weren't
shape.
ready.
You were out of shape. Though James Bond seemed pretty in shape to me. It's like
I mean,
they did a really poor job of trying to show us that he was out
Yeah,
of shape.
his biggest problem was, which is a problem he created for himself, was hanging onto this elevator. Instead of, just ninjaing over there and getting rid of the guy right away.
Yeah.
But no, he had to follow him all the way. Bring him to the elevator and then jump up there and hang on for dear life.
It's like, I'm glad you've been paying attention to the architecture, because how were you supposed to know that you'd even be able to get up there from the bottom? I mean, that seems awfully weird. But, I mean, we'll get to that later, because that entire sequence there shouldn't have even happened. So Mr. Silva comes in and he's talking about how she lied to you and how you've been betrayed, and then we have the game moment, and yeah,
it's just like the director said, okay, we need to make this guy as unsettling as possible. How can we make him even more unsettling?
and then Mr. Bardem is like, ambiguous sexuality. And this is one of the most uncomfortable parts. And I guess they were trying to go for uncomfortable, but this crosses the line for me. I mean, this is one of those moments where I'm like, I'm sitting with my mom and my grandpa here when I'm watching the first time I saw this movie. This is not something that you want to see. I mean, even if I was by myself, I wouldn't feel comfortable. And I'm like, I'm with my mom. My mom is like, what's going on? And my grandpa was just like, he's a quiet guy. He was just like, yeah. He didn't like it either because he didn't say anything. But so what happens is Mr. Silva comes up and he comes into Bond, and this was Bond sitting there, and kind of unbuttoned, and he kind of pulls it over and looks at the wound that was right here, because he got shot there in the beginning of the movie. Which, okay, he's inspecting the wound, then he goes, no, and I'm just like, oh, please don't tell me this is going to be a gay moment, and then he slowly moves over, pushes the other shirt off, and kind of strokes his collarbone, and goes up, strokes his throat, and then you're just like, oh my gosh. And
even Daniel Craig looks uncomfortable.
Yeah, and Daniel Craig looked uncomfortable in that scene, because then Mr. Silva goes and he puts his hands on Bond's legs, and Daniel Craig's just like, and he's like, and
this wasn't in my contract.
Yeah. And Mr. Silva's like, and he's like, this is the first time for everything, and Bond's like, what makes think this is my first time? And he's just like, oh my gosh, why did I have to say this? Who the hell wrote this? And I'll take a quote from Galaxy Quest: whoever wrote this episode should die. This episode was poorly written. And it was just,
Okay, so then
yeah.
Suddenly the plot distracts him or something.
Yeah.
And they go outside.
So he goes outside, and it's talking, flamboyance, and then there's this music, show tunes or something being played, because Mr. Silva is flamboyant and ambiguously bisexual, and but so then he comes out, and it's what happens next that really made me hate him as a villain. So this was one woman that.
Well, yeah, he was hateful as a villain, but also, I think it's kind of made the whole writing sloppy, the whole James Bond being inconsiderate, or
being a jerk, and so what happens is he comes out into this one place, and it looks like there's this stone path in the rubble, and he sees this little woman who's with him, and I think this is a failing of the plot. I can never remember her name. I had to read it online on IMDb.
But it's whatever it's mentioned or whatever. You just it's forgettable or something like that.
Yeah, it starts with an
Don't
S.
even-
It's Severine or something like that, and it was like, she's my favorite character in the entire movie. And I can't remember her name. That's a bad thing. That's bad writing. If I can't even remember my own favorite character's name.
No.
So she's sitting on this rubble, and of course, it looks like she's been beaten, which means that they did some makeup to make her look like her lip was like bleeding and she had a cut here. So it wasn't all that bad. Her makeup wasn't messed up or anything. Beauty is never tarnished.
But basically, yeah.
Yeah. So Mr. Silva comes up and he's like, darling, come up. Then he makes out with her, and you're just like, no, stop it, you're a creep. And so then he's like, be very careful. And then he has a shot. It was a shot of what? Scotch? Whiskey or scotch. And he sits on top of her head. And
No, I think it was whiskey because.
well, whiskey, right? It's not whiskey, yeah. But so then he comes up and he hands James, and the whole thing about the movie is that James Bond can't shoot with his arm because he got injured at the beginning of the movie, and so he can't quite hold a gun straight. So he hands him this old like dueling pistol, and you're just like, those things aren't accurate anyway. I don't know if the writers were thinking about that. Those things are not accurate at all. You could shoot straight, and it'll go up and completely sideways, and it was. I mean, unless they were trying to play up his sadistic nature, which honestly I think he had too many bad qualities, and not enough. Nothing to counterbalance this, but so what it is Bond gets the gun, and this is truly a tense moment because I was like, oh my gosh, is she going to die? She's the Bond. I mean, I thought she was the Bond girl. She's the Bond girl. She can't die. So he goes, bang, and misses, and I'm like, whoo. And Mr. Silva goes up, bang, my turn, bang, she's dead. And you're like, I win. I'm like,
what the heck just happened?
And then Bond was like, waste of a good whiskey, and you're just like,
and then he wails on everybody there, and you're like,
yes,
why didn't he do this before?
So Bond,
that's what I expected to happen.
Yeah.
That he was about to shoot, but he knows that he can't
hit it.
aim straight, especially with this dumb gun or whatever.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he just turns around and wails
I was expecting that too. So it's after she's dead. So Bond, there's a guy that has a gun at Bond's head, literally like right there at Bond's head. Then there are three other guys, and then Mr. Silva. So what he does is he fires, and then Mr. Silva fires, and then this chick is dead instantly because instant death blow.
Yep.
And then he's like, it's a waste of good whiskey. Then he grabs that gun and he takes out all the goons in like 10 seconds flat. And
then suddenly, the what's it called, backup comes because he had this homing device.
Yeah. Tonight is from Q Branch. Radio. We call that a GPS. Yeah, but and I was thinking, wait. So he waited until because he knew he wouldn't be able to shoot that little shot glass. There was no way, especially from the distance he was at, because he showed that even in the shooting range, if he was running up to his target shooting, he still couldn't hit. Well, he ended up getting close, but if he was like 5 feet away, so and I was expecting him to take a third option and like wail on everyone there and at least injure Mr. Silva. And that's what I thought he was going to do. Mm-hmm. I thought he was going to use the pistol and shoot like Mr. Silva in the leg because somehow they want him alive.
Because he still has the location of the hard drive, which they stupidly let him steal, or stupidly even created.
Yeah. So after we're done talking about this one shit, then let's get into the hard drive and stuff that happened at the beginning of the movie. So then he takes them all down with little to no effort at all, and Mr. Silva is just I don't know. It's like he didn't even bother shooting at him at all and injuring him, even if they wanted him. It's like, this is what I don't get. You have a bad guy there, shoot him in the leg, at least.
Yeah, you're allowed to kill him. So
you're 007, licensed to kill. You want this guy alive. Injure him so he can't escape.
Yeah, it's not rocket science.
And no, that actually would have been a hilarious reference to No Country for Old Men, because the guy who the actor played, Mr. Bardem played, I think he had a limp in the movie. So that would have actually been a great reference to an actor allusion to that movie and having a limp, and it would also have been able to counteract him playing up his intelligence rather than his physical abilities. because I don't like how they did that. But we'll talk about that later. But we need to finish talking about this chick. So she's killed, and there's nothing else. She's not mentioned at all. I think she gets one mention later, if that. And if not, I think it might have been just about the hard drive. And it was like, and I'm just sitting there. I'm going through the rest of the movie. I'm like, is there any explanation of what happened with her? Is there anything going on with her? It was never explained. She's just stuffed. I can't even say stuffed in the fridge because Bond wasn't affected by it at all. I mean,
it's just sort of like had made of this kind of sad, pretty eyes face, but
no.
like 2 seconds.
Remember, didn't he have his sunglasses on?
I don't know.
I remember he had these aviators, But anyway, so yeah,
he makes a one-liner and then was like quiet for a while, and that's pretty much it. And along with the girl, his ineffectual shooting also gets forgotten after a while, because after that, he pretty much shoots everything.
Well, yeah. Well, there's a moment when Mr. Silva is running and he's climbing the ladder and it's bang bang bang. Though he was actually quite close in that. He's like, next time I won't miss. And he's like, you're probably gonna miss, dude. But and he's like, la la la, I have this. Boom. Oh, trains. Boop, 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 boop. And he was like a big troll in this movie, and I don't like those kinds of villains. But all right, we need to finish talking about this thing. So yeah, there's nothing much, and so they took the most interesting character in the entire movie and just killed her off.
Just like that.
And I was super
with nothing but one-liner.
Yeah, nothing but a one-liner. No reference. No. Hi.
We're gonna barely.
See what you guys are doing.
Video. What she said. We're doing a full discussion of Skyfall. Yep. It's called making a video. Okay.
And now you're part of the video too.
All right.
You gotta go now.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, my one of the biggest disappointments in this movie was her, and she was prime for Bond girl. I mean, we could have had another Vesper in this, or even the chick played by Olga something or another in Quantum of Solace. So
what's her name? Gemma.
Or Gemma Artania, but she was another MI6 agent. And she's also a witch hunter. Yeah, with Hoxel. Yeah, Jeremy Renner. Your eyes are not as pretty as Daniel Craig's.
You got nice abs, so it's okay.
Okay, let's get back on topic. This is getting weird. Yeah. So yeah. Back. All right. Let's go back to the beginning of the movie.
Okay.
We
should have started with the first place.
We should have started the first place. But Skyfall was more important. Actually, it's not. It's just
exactly.
Wayne. It's just Wayne Manor in Scotland. But
Scottish Wayne Manor.
All right. So the beginning plot of this movie starts off with the hard drive being stolen. A hard drive in a laptop that had the identities of all NATO agents that are undercover in terrorist cells. What?
Why would you make a hard drive of that? Or why would you keep that on a hard drive?
Yeah,
information like that.
That's like super secure. You don't keep that anywhere, especially when it was on the field with some agents in. I think it was Turkey. I don't remember. I don't even remember where the beginning was.
I mean, I don't know where you're supposed to keep that, but a hard drive is not a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, if that was kept in the inner like motherboards on MI6,
or in some kind of a super secret cloud or something like that.
Yeah, or not even the cloud.
No, the hackers will get in trouble.
Yeah, but it was like something that is not connected to any other networks or anything that's vulnerable. But it was just, this shouldn't have even happened. But it does happen, and I'm disappointed that there was never any explanation of why. Because
it basically just opens with Bond walking into a room and suddenly hard drive's missing and people are dead.
Yeah, and I actually like this scene at the beginning. One of the agents is shot right here, and
Oh
obviously
yeah, it
he's
shows
done.
the humanity of Bob.
Yeah.
starts
He
to
pulls out some cloth or something, and he's pressing down, and M is talking to him, and she's like, "Where are you?" He says, "I'm stabilizing whatever his name was," and she's like, "Go get the hard drive." He's like, "I need to stabilize." No, go get it. So Bond just sits there for a minute, and you can tell that he's contemplating this. So he grabs the guy's hands and he puts it on him. He puts it on the wound, and it's like, okay, you stay there until you bleed to death. And he's basically like, we need field medics to whatever his name is. And he's like, he'll be there in 5 minutes. I'm like, he's totally dead. so then Bond runs off, and we end up with one of the best chase scenes I've seen in a movie. But the whole point is that that plot doesn't make sense, you know. And if you're just kind of going with it, you're not thinking too hard. It doesn't make it's not really that big of a deal. But it's why would you keep that information vulnerable like that? It's just I just don't get that. So the Bond chases this schmuck, and we were introduced to Eve, or as I like to call her, Money Quarter.
Which will make sense later.
Yeah. So it's the same actress who played Tia Dalma in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which I didn't even get.
Because she looked much younger here than she did there.
Yeah, and she doesn't have all the makeup, and she ain't talking like this.
No, she talks like this now.
Yeah. My first thought was Martha of Doctor Who when I saw her, but I was like, I can't be her. But so they go on, and she's introduced as a reckless agent who's not afraid of anything, like especially when they're in a group of civilians. And she pulls out a gun and just starts shooting at the bad guy. I'm like, civilians? What civilians? And I actually like that because Bond seemed to be a little more hesitant about stuff like that. So I think
she was fun.
Yeah, she in that first part of the movie, she was actually really enjoyable to watch, especially when she's crashing the side mirrors, and he's like, and Bond's like, I guess you weren't using that. Crash! It's the other one. No, it's not one either. Okay, I like her. So then they go on, and one of the most epic motorcycle chases I've seen on the roofs and stuff. And
it makes no sense, but it's really funny.
Yeah. And they end up on a train, and how James Bond got into that train was awesome. He's on a motorcycle, and the train is going off, and he runs the motorcycle straight into the edge of the bridge, and goes boom, and throws himself off, and he just lands on the train. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. So.
And there's Money Quarter, along with her.
Yeah, Money Quarter is trying to get through, and she's crashing through other cars with her Jeep, and it's all banged up, and she's like pushing out the bulletproof window, and she complained about her being able to do that, but whatever. But so she's following them, and she ends up being while they're fighting on the train. She gets up to a position with a rifle, and she's standing there waiting for them to come and waiting for a clear shot.
And she's asking him for permission or whatever.
And M's like, take the bloody shot. So she shoots and hits James Bond.
And you never see that bullet wound. The bullet wound that he got earlier from...
Yeah. So while they're on the train, and...
I'll talk about the bullet wound soon, but...
Yeah.
This one, you never see... You only see the principal bullet wound that he got on his shoulder. But the one that he got from Tia Dalma Money Quarter... he never shown. You don't even know where she shot him. All you know is she shot him next to the ear.
And he's like, holy crap, oh my gosh, I'm dying. Yeah. All right. We need to talk about that wound, since that wound persists throughout the entire movie. He gets into this crane, and it has some like metal stuff protecting it, and this guy is shooting bullets, and he's like bah, 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 with his automatic handgun. I don't know, it's like a Glock. I couldn't tell what gun it was.
It's something that goes pew.
Yes, pew 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 pew. So yeah, he starts shooting at him, and of course a lot of stuff it's bouncing off, and then I'm guessing some shrapnel hit him, and it gets him right here. And
didn't it happen early? I don't know.
No. It happened when he was in the little the seat for the control thing. Because I remember it going bang, and he's just like ah.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I'm James Bond! Bullets don't hit me! Ah! So yeah, then he goes after him, and that wound doesn't even affect him because then he ends up ripping off the back of the next carriage,
Which also makes no sense.
Yeah, but
it just cranes are made. Or that crane was made for digging or something like that.
Dirt.
And it's sharp, but I don't think it's supposed to cut like into metal or the thing that trains are made out of anyway.
Yeah.
So that it digs into it is one thing. That it rips it apart.
Yeah.
It's like a whole different what the heck.
Yeah, but I did like that one scene. I did like. I mean, that was in that part of that was in the trailer, and I just really like that scene of he basically digs the crane into the top of this carriage because his section had been disconnected via gunfire because you can just apparently do that, and he crawls up onto the crane and he jumps down just as it gets pulled off, and he jumps down and he's just like. And then M's like, what happened? He's like, just changing carriages, ma'am. That's a great Bond one-liner. Then he goes off and they end up fighting on top of the train. And I have to say that bad guy was super chill about going through the tunnel. He's sitting on top of the train. Oh, there's a tunnel. Whoosh. And he's just like...
He's basically like the ghost in, what's it called? Polar Express or something.
Yeah. But, so, then this wound he has, he's super bloody and everything. So he's fighting this guy in the train. I'm guessing adrenaline is the most wonderful drug in the world at this point. And he's fighting, and then Bunny Quarter shoots, and I'm guessing the implication is that she hit Bond right in the midsection because they're fighting, and boom, he falls like this off the train into the water, and then we get Adele's theme song. But
the thing is, she
had a rifle.
She had a rifle, and she had plenty of time to take the shot again.
Yeah, because it was like
finish the mission.
Yeah, because there were two entrances to the tunnels, and there was this section of the bridges where she was waiting on them with her rifle, and they'd gotten to this point, and she took the shot, and then it goes back into the tunnel. And I mean, this is a clip that I'm guessing it looked like a standard clip of 30 rounds. So, oops, I hit Bond. Bang, 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 bang. When I saw that, she just sat there, and my first thought, and I said, whoops, I guess I should have invested in the 2-round clip.
I mean, she didn't even try to take another shot. She was just like, oh my gosh, I shot James Bond, and then she's petrified, and that's like ineffectual Asian thing.
Yeah, she's definitely ended up as a faux action girl.
Because earlier, she is there like shooting at a crowd of civilians, no problem, but as she by mistake hits her partner, and she doesn't even try to finish her mission like a good agent. She's just like, oh crap.
And I'm not holding it against her that she freaked out when she hit Bond. It's that she seemed to be a person who did not think at all. It's go go go, and because I mean, there's one part where M told her. He's like, Bond is on the train. And was like, follow her. So she drove off and followed the train. I mean, she didn't seem to think one instant of, oh, what am I going to do? And when she hits Bond, she's like, oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh shoot. Oh shoot. But,
man, there's no way I could,
there's no way I can shoot him again. I'm out of bullets. Oh no, I'm out. No, wait, she's not even following him. It's just, agent down.
And the thing is, it takes her even forever to tell her that agent is down.
Yeah.
So in between the time, she could have at least tried to shoot at the guy, but she's like...
Yeah. And I'm not mad that he didn't die there, because based on... She was really close, and she could have hit him, but it's the fact that she didn't try. And she didn't even go bah, full auto, or to go bang, 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 like DMR and Halo. It's just... Whoops.
Well... That's embarrassing. Let's go into opening credits.
Yeah. And I heard some people complain about it, but I like the opening credits. I think the Skyfall song is awesome. I mean, they've been playing on the radio for months before Skyfall came out. But I enjoy
I forgot how it sounds like, but I like the
And the sky fall, then it crumble. We will stand tall, let's face it all together at Skyfall.
Yeah, Adele thought
Skyfall.
that the movie would be
Let
more
it
interesting.
crumble. Yeah.
There was no falling skies.
We'll face the
Which is
plot
also
holes. No, they don't face any of the plot holes in this movie, but yeah.
Falling Skies is also a pretty crappy show.
Yeah. But damn, does Daniel Craig have some pretty I mean,
What pretty
yeah,
eyes.
no, what beautiful eyes, what beautiful eyes.
That picture is pretty. I don't know.
Yeah, but Joe Biden. But yeah, I mean that's one thing when they show James Bond's eyes, and you just look at it, it almost seems like everything else is almost grayscale except his eyes. It's just like these clear blue eyes. And it's like, what pretty eyes. I mean, even I'm saying that. It was just so I thought that was kind of funny, and then you get a whole bunch of crazy death symbolism and stuff going on in it.
And he's shooting at his own shadows and stuff like that. So.
Which, I thought a lot of the stuff was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And the opening theme, I think as far as opening themes go, I think that's one of my favorites. Because the Brosnan ones, while they had some good songs like Tomorrow Never Dies and The World Is Not Enough, and those are some good songs. The opening was basically lots of naked women dancing, and there were actually minimal naked women dancing because they're all in the movie. But
I don't know if they're dancing, but whatever.
Well, they're doing some kind of dancing, if you know what I mean. But I'm sorry, I'll stop it with the euphemisms.
No, you won't.
I won't. But So yeah, I mean, I think that opening scene was interesting. Then we cut to it was M writing Bond's eulogy.
Yeah.
For the eulogy for Commander James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, it's very touching scene. Bet she's writing lots of nice things about him. He's not dead. I mean, I know that. This is a Bond movie.
That would be weird. It's like.
Well, it's pretty much already in Skyfall.
Featuring James Bond.
Featuring James Bond, yeah. But
Voldemort without makeup.
Yeah. Who's totally not evil. And I thought he was going to be evil the entire
Yeah, I thought he was going to be Lincoln.
I mean, like, this is Ralph Fiennes. This guy played Voldemort. He has to be evil. Yay for typecasting.
He's like, F that typecasting.
I'm a good guy. But
I mean, pretty much all he does is, well, we'll get to Ralph Fiennes later, but
yeah, but he
so yeah, it starts with M doing the eulogy,
and they go with this whole thing about the see, I don't even remember all the stuff that happened. No, remember, she goes and talks to Ralph Fiennes. This is his introduction.
Oh yeah, and then Ralph Fiennes is like, hey, guess what? You're old. So, retire.
Yeah, Judi Dench, you're fired.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, you're not fired, but we want you to retire.
You will involuntarily retire in 2 months' time.
And she's like, the heck I will.
He says, yeah, and I like Judi Dench. She's like, F you, I'm M. I get to do whatever I want, mother duckers. Judi Dench don't care. Oh yeah, low quality cameras. But yeah, we pretty much decided that Judi Dench was Honey Badger in this.
Yeah.
So
Judi Dench
don't give a crap. But so then they raised that whole thing of and it did something in the movie that like they talked about basically M retiring, and by the end you knew it was inevitable. You knew that she wasn't going to be M.
Judi Dench is not going to be M by the end of this movie.
Yeah, and I'm super disappointed how they handled that, but we'll get that when we talk about the ending. But see, I'm trying to remember what happens after that. Wait. No, I remember. They're in the car going back to MI6 offices, and her guy, her assistant, is talking about saying, like that's when the first attack has happened. Like, oh no, we're being hacked, or no, wait. She's on her laptop or something. I don't remember the exact order of events, but she's in it, and all of a sudden we get this whole thing of
there's been an infiltration or something.
Yeah, it's the virus thing where it shows Judi Dench's face, and it's like dun 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 dun. Just pick a number. Or it was think on your sins, pick a number, and she picked 2, and it was and then she's like, trace this, and so they're like, oh, it's coming from your computer in your office, man. We need to get to MI6. So as they're driving up, blows up. Whoops. and that, yeah, I guess that's pretty much all the emotional impact it had. I mean, 6 agents died, and M is sitting with their caskets, and that was a very good scene.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything with M in it is pretty much a good scene.
Yeah, it's like,
and because she's sitting there and she has her hand on one of the coffins, and they're like row of 6 coffins with the British flags on them. She's just kind of sitting there, not saying anything. But then the guy comes in, he's like, "Ma'am, we have to go." So she goes, and
then I think it's at this point that
they cut to James Bond.
And what has he been doing?
Getting laid.
Getting laid.
Yeah.
Doing dumb drinking games and drinking some more.
Yeah. So the very first thing that it cuts to for James Bond is him having sex with a woman. That's it. That's the scene. It's them naked and like having sex, and then it cuts to him then laying in bed and him
waking up.
Stroking. No, they were just awake, and she was stroking his chest, and I'm like, who is this woman? And then he leaves and he goes to a bar,
and then it's like, bye, whoever you are.
Yeah, and I mean, is she just another one night fling that he had? Because it's been several months.
Has he been mooching off of her?
Yeah, he's been mooching off of her. He looks like he lives.
I'm not gonna tell you who I am, but I'm a pretty guy, so can you stay here and maybe shag you sometime?
Yeah, get out of my house. This is my house. Get out of my house. Okay. James Bond is a huge jerk in this movie, but
I mean, he's a soft-spoken jerk, but he's still kind of a jerk.
Yeah, he's a passive-aggressive jerk. I'm so passive, I don't even react when the most interesting character dies. Nope. I'm Daniel Craig. I have pretty eyes.
So, basically, in this scene, he looks completely bored with his life or whatever.
So this drinking game he has is he's getting some sort of alcohol. It's never shown what it is, but he has a scorpion on his hand, and he's basically looking at it, and he drinks it, and he finishes it, jumps it, and goes, BAM! Closes it over the scorpion. Why this is happening, it's never explained. I mean, this scene was in the trailer, but it was
basically, he's just so bored with his normal life that he's
a thrill seeker.
Yep.
And then he's sitting there, and it cuts to hours later. It goes from night to, I'm guessing, early morning.
And he's like,
he's
pretty much staying there until happy hour or whatever.
And he's just sitting there drinking, and he's like throwing money, and he's like, "Hey bartender, I'm getting more alcohol." But so then he sees,
and then he sees it used at MI6.
The MI6 headquarters on because apparently those island, or I don't know where the hell this place is, but this place has BBC access to BBC. And
so he sees the news that MI6 has been destroyed. He's like, a plot point, finally!
Oh.
I can get out of here! This place is so boring!
Duty calls. I'm Batman. But,
and then so
yeah, then he goes back. And I don't understand the entire point of that scene. Of those scenes there. Why? I mean, it never comes up again. There's never anything important.
I mean, the only time it comes up is when Ralph Fiennes says, "Why didn't you stick it out?
Yeah,
you had the perfect excuse to live a normal life finally."
Yeah.
But the way they set up those scenes, it makes it seem like as if he was like depressed, like he didn't want this at all.
I got shot.
But Ralph Fiennes comes there and he's like, "You could have had a way out." And were we supposed to feel like this is the life that he wanted to live? Because he didn't seem tempted to stay here. There was no struggle at all. It's like, you splash, MI6 been attacked. And he's like, yes, I'm out of here, suckers.
About time something bad happened. But and
it's like, you're not convinced at all that he might have wanted to stay there or to be undercover.
He's like, I get laid anyway. Why would I want to stay here?
It's like, this is so boring. What the heck?
Yeah. And I didn't get that. What I was thinking, what I thought at first was that he had amnesia. It was going to pull a Born Identity sort of a thing, where he got shot, he fell, and he doesn't remember who he is. And then he sees the BBC, and boom, he remembers. And it's never explained. He never had amnesia. It was just, oh, something happened. I better go. And it was another plot hole, because I would forgive them not completely explaining this if they had at least managed to say he had amnesia and had no idea who he was. He was just kind of living there.
Or if it had been established that yes, he was enjoying himself, but then he kind of painstakingly decided to go back and help them. But he looked so freaking bored. It was just like,
he even looked bored after the sex, and he's just like, "Ugh, you're not as hot as the usual one." It's like I didn't really see what exactly he was. I mean, I guess they wanted to say that his duty was so great. My duty is so great, I have to go back. It was just, and he never really felt like it was a big decision. He saw it, and then boom, he's in Im's house. So.
And he's like, remember my eulogy? It sucked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. I called you the exemplary form of British intelligence. And he's like, I like that bit. But, yeah. So, he literally just pops up in Im's office. There's really no showing of how he got there. Or if there was an international airport or just some bush pilots around. Or if he had to call Harrison Ford to get off of 6 Days, 7 Nights and get there. But so he pops up, and he looks like he's been sleep deprived and he's hungover because he's just like 007 reporting for duty.
And then he's like, go take a shower.
No. She's like, where the hell have you been? And he's just like, never. And I don't think he ever really answered that. It was just kind of a whatever.
Like, I'm back now, so can I get back to work or something?
No.
You clearly don't know how to do anything here.
Yeah. I forgot that every single agent besides me is a sack of potatoes. But, so yeah, and you know what? I'm a little iffy on how M treats him in this scene. It's and it was basically, you get out of here. I don't want to see your effing face again. And he's like, I'll get back to my place. Oh yeah, we sold your flat. You don't have anyone else in your life to give it to.
I guess maybe this is her way of saying this is what you get for not reporting for duty.
Or not saying, hey, I'm taking a leave of absence.
Well, I've got a lot of vacation days, so I need this.
I've been working for 50 freaking years.
I've just been shot.
Twice. Technically once, because that's the only injury you see. But, so he comes in and she basically tells him to go get a hotel because you're not staying here. And I'm like, wow, way to treat the guy that you ordered the shot that got him killed. You've been dealing with this for several months and you have no sympathy at all. I mean, because they tried to play it up like M and Bond have this very close relationship. Like she trusts him explicitly, and he trusts her. But it came across as her trying to act tsundere, where she's like, no, I like you, but I'm going to be a complete bitch to you. And it's like really? I mean, you're not even going to let him stay the night on the couch? This guy's been living on a flipping island, probably in a rock bed, drinking alcohol with scorpions. It's just like, come on, cut the guy some slack. He's completely been shirking his duties for several months.
Well, I guess this is her way of punishing him. It's like tough love.
Yeah, but okay. I mean, I guess I could.
I can go with that.
I can go with that.
It didn't disturb me that much.
Yeah. So basically, the next thing I remember happening is the training.
So yeah, he goes on his examination.
Yeah, exams, and we get several good scenes in this, and it's and then some really weird scenes, and so he shows him working out, like running on the treadmill, doing pull-ups, and he looks fine, though.
I mean, sometimes you see that he's
like after he did the pull-ups, he got down and everyone left. He's just like, and you're like, okay. It kind of reminded me of a scene from Gattaca, where the main character Who have you seen that?
No.
And so the main character has a heart defect, and he's living in a world where everyone is designer babies.
Oh.
Everyone's been genetically worked on from before birth to be the perfect babies. Like this guy who has a brother who he was designed to be like super smart and super strong, and they wanted to have one baby who was normal, and it was this guy. And he's trying to deal with this because only people with perfect DNA and genetics have any chance to succeed at them. All the normal people are like janitors and stuff. So it's him trying to aspire to become something greater, and he's trying to get these big jobs, and he takes on the role of this other guy who is like an Olympic swimmer or something. It's Jude Law who played the character, and when he got injured in a car accident and he's wheelchair bound, he has no hope in his life, and he basically lends him his identity. This guy basically has a thing where he cleans up himself, and he has these things where the blood is the Jude Law blood, and because they always have to do these DNA tests. So it was a really well thought out thing, and there's one part where he's trying to go into space, and only the genetically perfect and the most physically fit can go there, and he has a heart defect. So he had this device or something that basically played the heartbeat of Jude Law, who's a physically fit person. He's just paralyzed. And he has that, and so after he does that scene and he does the whole workout, and they're like, all right, you sound completely healthy. So then he goes in there and he walks into the locker room, and he just kind of like,
Oh gosh, that was so terrible.
and he's been holding that in, and I kind of got a vibe from that, but
they don't really do much.
Yeah, they don't really do much of
except for that one atrocious scene.
It's like they're trying to say that Bond is unfit for duty, and I think.
And then it's as if those scenes are enough, they'll have somebody who keeps on screaming into his face like, "You're old, dude."
Yeah, that's another obnoxious thing. So he does the physical test, and this guy was one of the M's assistant guy was basically griefing him throughout these, and he and he basically is like, should I do this later? And Bond's like, yeah. So they have that moment, and then they do it, the psych evaluation, and they end up doing the word association, which I found that to be a very good look at Bond's character, because especially when that word is like gun, kill, him, wench, and then it's like murder, employment, and I think
that was one of those scenes where M wasn't technically there, which was good.
Well, she's on the other side of the one-way glass.
Yeah, but the performance was mostly this psychiatrist and
yes, and I liked that moment because when I was watching that, I'm like, this is a peek into Bond's mind, and I would have liked there to be more.
Yeah, but the payoff was so.
Yeah, then it ended with the reference like Skyfall. Rage quit. Yeah, so that ended up being really stupid. So let's see. The next scene was pretty much. I think it was him being sent off to Shanghai, right?
Well, first, he gets the results. And,
or I get the results, and it was like, you passed.
And he's like, oh, cool.
Yeah, cool. And then this is the part where Ralph Fiennes talks about the you had a perfect way out. He says not many agents get off that cleanly, and he's like, and he's like, why'd you come back? And I don't really remember Bond answering.
I don't think he just seems like annoyed at him or something. And then I think Ralph Fiennes also tells him, "Oh yeah, you're old." In case I forgot to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember. He says it's not a young man's game. Screw you, Voldemort. You're a jerk. Not as much as me in this movie. But I don't like you. But
what do you think you are calling everybody old?
Yeah.
I mean, have you looked in the mirror lately?
You're the one who needs Horcruxes to survive.
Exactly. I mean, he's one to
bone of the father unwillingly taken. But
and then I think the next scene is with
You know, remember the assistant guy comes up and he's like, I didn't realize Bond passed, and then he's like, he didn't.
And then you're like, bum bum bum.
Yeah. So I didn't really get why he didn't pass. I mean, I can understand him failing the psych evaluation.
But you know, also the what's it called? His aim was off because of his shoulder.
Oh yeah,
injury.
yeah, that too. And that's another scene. I forgot to see that one. So he's running up and he's like, bang, bang, and he can't hit anything. And then he switches to one arm because that is such a much more accurate way than holding two arms. And he goes charging and like bang, 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 and he ends up getting a cluster in the middle because he went up to like 5 feet away from it. And the scene where he pulls out the shrapnel.
Oh my gosh, that had me screaming, no, 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 freaking no!
Yeah.
That makes no sense. Why is he alive now? He should be dead from some kind of blood infection.
Yeah, so...
That's why you remove bullets, not because the bullet kills... Well, yeah, the bullet kills you, but you have to remove it and to avoid infection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's been going around for months with the shrapnel inside of him. And
and how does he pull it out? Sticks a knife and he goes chop, and then pulls it out and then washes it, and he gives up. And this is the one scene where he's like, "This is for him. It's for her eyes only." And while I like the reference, the whole scene surrounding it was like, "Wait, what?" And then, all right, this is the best part. They found out it's depleted uranium, bullets.
Uranium, that sounds like
bad.
The best thing to have running around in your bloodstream.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know how depleted uranium works, and I don't know. It's probably not radioactive, but I'm pretty sure that having any type of bullet in you is bad. And I mean, I've heard people getting like lead poisoning and stuff from bullets. And
that's why you're supposed to. That's why people have shrapnel removed from their bodies.
Yeah.
To avoid blood poisoning. It's not because the bullet is going to make you bleed. Because the wound can heal over the bullet. It's because that stuff will kill you. They only are allowed to put a certain kind of...
Unless you're Tony Stark.
Oh yeah. Well, even they needed to build a machine for him to keep the shrapnel away from his heart.
Yeah. Well, he's Robert Downey Jr., and no one wants Robert Downey Jr. to die. But, and here's the kicker. This is something that I also heard people talking about, was that they find out that this type of shell, or this type of bullet, is only used by a handful of people in the world.
And that's like really convenient.
Yeah, that is something super convenient because, wait, so you're saying that this guy who we find out is an assassin?
Well, duh, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really get that he was an assassin because he had taken this hard drive that seemed more like counter-espionage and terrorist than anything, but he pulls off a hit this next time. And why would you use specialized bullets that you are known to use to shoot? And this is just a regular clip of bullets. This isn't something like, this isn't like rifle round. This is like a pistol that he fired, and it hit him, and like, oh gosh. So then Bond, like, they show computers. These are the men who are known to use this type of bullet. My Bond's like, that's him. Let's go. So then he has the meeting with. No wait, he has more flirting with Money Quarter.
Oh yeah, that they're talking about field work and pros and cons of field work, and oh yeah, you shot me that time. She's like, whoopsies.
Yeah, he says it's harder to hit a moving target, and she's like, next time I won't miss, and you're like,
really?
Bond, you're gonna die of STD someday. I'm just saying so, but yeah. So then he goes into this museum. Yep, he's in a museum looking at this one picture that apparently it's a picture of a old naval warship that's like old 17th century kind of stuff, beautiful warship being pulled in by a steamboat, and
steal something from Bilberg. Symbolism.
Yeah. So this young guy sits down next to him and he's like, I always find it melancholic. Old warship being tugged in with scraps in the dawn of a new age.
And you're like,
and then of course Bond is just like, And then and then I don't remember if they have the banter now or after he says, "I'm Q."
I think they have a banter a little bit.
Yeah, and then they talk about old versus new. And
This whole thing.
yeah.
So once again, a character comes along just to tell James Bond he's old. It's like, yeah, we get it.
And but I did like the line of, "I can do more in an afternoon on my computer, in my pajamas on my computer, than you could do in a decade of field work." Which I think that fits the character's personality of I'm a super genius. I don't need field work. But it's the fact that he's not the only one doing this. If he was the only one saying this, I would buy that. But having everyone else call him old kind of is.
Especially when half of these people are older than him.
Yeah. I don't know how old
are
Ralph
older or the same age.
Yeah. Ralph Fiennes, I'm guessing, is at least in his 40s. I mean, I'll have to check IMDb about that, but so I mean, this guy's in his 20s, and he's the new Q, and he said, "I'm Q." I'm like, my mind has just been blown.
It wasn't so significant to me, but then again, I didn't really.
Well, yeah. Well, Q has been in all the movies except the Craig ones, and he was old. There was this old guy, and from the early all the ones, and there was the same guy in all of them except in one of the Brosnan ones where John Cleese came in.
I think it was Die Another Day, which almost killed the franchise.
No. It wasn't Die Another Day, because tomorrow. I think it was either. I know in Die Another. I know in Tomorrow Never Dies is when Q was John Cleese, and he gave him that the phone controlled car.
Okay.
Or I don't really remember. I know that he didn't come in on Die Another Day, because Die Another Day did have a whole homage to a bunch of old Bond gadgets.
Oh, okay.
And that's where they introduced the camouflage car in the subways. That's actually really funny with the subways. But anyway, that was a terrible movie. But
okay, man, we're talking about this.
We're talking about Skyfall, another terrible movie. But so all right, we were where were we at? We were Q. So he ends up handing him, and Bond looks like he's just about to like say "F you" and get out of here, and then Q is basically like, "Oh, okay, wait, here's your stuff." And he opens it up. It's a gun, and he's like, "Okay," and then he's like, "What's this little blank spot here?" It's like, "This is it. It's a transmitter. It'll send out your location." So, and it's like, click. Okay, sticks it in, and he looks at the gun, and he's like, and basically it's like the gun that Paul Giamatti had in Shoot 'Em Up, that reads your palm, or reads your finger and palm prints, and only you can shoot it. I mean, it's pretty much the exact same thing from that movie. Though Shoot 'Em Up didn't really try to. I don't know. That movie was confusing. Lots of shooting and lots of F words, but. So Bond has it, and he's like, "Well, this isn't exactly Christmas." And then Q was like, "What were you expecting? An exploding pen?" I'm like, GoldenEye reference. I got that. That was the one thing in GoldenEye where he had an exploding pen, and it was basically you click it like 3 times or something, and it activates it. You click it 3 more times, it deactivates it. This one guy has a nervous habit of flipping pens and clicking the thing. So he's like, click, and then he smacks it away and it blows up, and it's pretty awesome. But yeah. So Bond ends up going to Shanghai.
Oh yeah, there's another plot hole. Well, you should have a counter or something.
Yeah.
It's basically,
Ding.
How did he get a gun past museum security? Like, where was he hiding that thing? Because it's in like this kind of box.
Yeah, and it's in a box, and I'm sure they would have said, "Can we see that?" I'm sure they wouldn't let him pass just because he says, "Oh, I'm with Q branch of MI6."
And they're like, "We don't care. You can't bring a gun here. What the heck is your
We're
problem?"
Britain. We don't allow guns. Why do you even have this?
I mean, you're not even allowed to bring cameras with a flash in a museum.
Yeah.
Why are they gonna let you bring a gun?
Yeah, and I was thinking, I can get the symbolism they were trying to do with the painting if they didn't throw it at our face. But why did it take place in a museum?
Like, it would have been fun if he just said it's melancholic and then left it there, but
yeah, but the whole thing could have been done in Q Branch.
Another Q Branch or a park or I don't know.
Or in
somewhere
MI6,
where
in MI6 they're in these tunnels, and it's like wait. I mean, it's a gun and a transmitter. That's it. And it's like this didn't require any specific roundabout. This wasn't like, oh, you're going to meet our specialist in Germany or in Cuba or something.
It's just around a museum in somewhere in London.
And it was definitely then going out of their way to try to point out that James Bond is old.
But I guess you didn't know who this character was supposed to be, so that was like surprising for you. Like, this is cute.
Well, and they could have done that whole scene anyway in the new MI6 in the Winston Churchill's tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
It's he comes up and he walks in and you're like, oh, you need to meet our new thing, or you need to get your equipment from this guy. So he walks in there and he's like sitting there and he can be a prick to him. And I don't really mind that because he ends up warming up to him later and they have some great banter. That's kind of it makes me think of old Q and then James Bond talking to each other, except the roles are reversed and that James Bond's the older one. And
that's kind of funny, I guess.
Yeah, it is kind of funny. I did like their dynamic and how they talk to each other, because it was "shut up, kid," and it says "make me, old man," and it almost seemed like a father and son dynamic to me. It's like an angsty teenager who's yelling at his dad, and his dad's like, "Shut up, I know more than you." But yeah, and then he can come up and he's like starts talking, being a jerk to him. He walks up and he's like, "I'm cute," and you'd be like, but no.
Yeah, this museum was pointless and just raised more questions.
So he goes to Shanghai.
Mm-hmm.
And wait.
How many times have we said that already? Okay, so he finally goes.
Wait, it wasn't Shanghai, was it? Yeah, it was Shanghai.
It was Shanghai. Totally.
Because they said, and now wait, how did they even track that guy down there? They said this is the kind of bolts he used, and
I think they cross-referenced. They did some, what's it called, techno-babble cross-referencing. Oh, we see that he got a plane ticket to Shanghai, so find out where it's going.
Oh yeah, here's your ticket. So then he gets there and he ends up following. Basically, he walks up into him with he has this basically he's dressed like a chauffeur, and he has these big aviators covering himself, and those hats that they wear, like they look like a captain's cap. They're all blue, and okay, so he walks this guy and he's following him, and he follows him, and this guy ends up killing other people. And I'm thinking, why didn't they just drug this guy? All they wanted to do was get information from him.
They could have done that.
Yeah.
There was like so many times when he could have had a chance to get this guy. Like he could have pretended to be.
And it didn't even have to be Bond to do it. Like they have plenty of other agents. But
like he could have pretended to be his cabbie. Bang, they got him. Or he could have got it before he went to the elevator.
Yeah.
Or he could have got it before he made the shop. And no, he waited until
this poor schmuck dies. Yeah, but I mean they could have had him get into a cab and then, or have him be picked up or whatever, and then have it gassed or what I thought was this is something that I saw and where I got the idea from was from SG-1, Stargate SG-1. It's when Daniel, but he's infiltrating a whole. It's the Guao system lords meeting, and them all talking to each other in this one spaceship, and he's basically coming in as one of the system lord's servants. So what he had this one ring that had a needle in it, and in it was this drug that it was a reference to an alien that they met in one of the early season episodes, where if he touched you, he can make you think that you were whoever he said he was, and you would believe it. It was a neat concept. So what he did is he would turn the ring around and touch them or shake hands, and he would prick them, and they would say, "Oh, I am Tulakwa," and they'd be like, okay, and then they would go on. If they had something like that, just go prick some sort of like sedative or something that would knock them out.
Yeah, that's not too implausible, is it?
Yeah, and I thought about that.
Oh wait, there's a 2 exploding pen for them.
Yeah, not exactly Christmas, but so we need to track how he follows it. So he's driving this car following this other guy, and he parks in front of this building, and he parks, and then Vaughn's sitting in the car, and he's just like, yep, I'm pretty this coat looks pretty awesome on me. And then he looks over, and then he sees some guard come up through the sky, and he's just like, oh no, it's like, no, we're closed. And then this guy dies, and Bond's like, oh, I guess I should get out now. So he gets out, and he follows him. He sees a bunch of other dead guys, and he's like, follow the breadcrumbs of dead bodies. But yeah. So then then we get to this elevator scene. Oh my gosh! And I said when this guy gets in the elevator, and I turned to Deborah and I said, so hey, how do you think he's going to get this guy? And she's just like, I don't know.
Shoot it through the glass?
Yeah, shoot it through the glass. I thought he was going to get to the other elevator and follow him up. But so what he does is he waits for him to go up, and he runs and he jumps into a bar underneath the elevator. He's just kind of hanging on there.
And I was like, of all the boneted things to do,
yeah.
that's like so, unnecessarily exhausting.
Yeah, and you're just sitting there like, what? And he's lifted up, and he's holding on there, and he's just like, oh gosh, this is hard. I forgot I filled my physical. Oh wait, I didn't know that. Yeah, I passed. So he's sitting up there, and his arms like, I
passed my physical. Why is it hard?
Yeah, so he's hanging up on this, and he's like, oh gosh, this is so intense. My hands are so sweaty. Oh, my arm hurts.
Oh, because my eyes are pretty.
I'm so glad my eyes are pretty.
Otherwise, this is much harder.
Yeah. So then he goes up and he climbs up through it and he opens the door. And I was just thinking, this is unnecessarily complicated. So then he follows this guy, and now we get one of the coolest scenes and one of the dumbest scenes.
Because he watches this guy set up his gun.
Yeah. So
he had all the time in the world.
Because the sniper's setting up this very custom-looking gun, and he's going click, 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 click.
All the time in the world to shoot him, rush him, sedate him,
anything. So he's slowly sneaking through. Okay, be slow. He's opening and going down. There's all this glass, and then there are these lights projecting, and he thinks he hears this guy thinks he hears him, and he turns around, and you can see Bond just kind of like, I'm a mine. And so the lights go over there, and he can't see Bond, which I thought was actually pretty cool because I almost didn't see Bond there for a second. And so then he goes back to it, and then he sneaks, and he wakes up, and he kind of goes and just waits. He just kind of waits there, and
this guy sits up. Logs.
Yeah, a lot of logs. So and you see across the street on this other building, there's this one woman who's the woman we mentioned before of my favorite character, and she's sitting there, and there's this guy there's a painting, and he kind of sits in front of the painting, and this guy puts the gun in there, and this assassin goes bang and kills the guy, and then he turns around and starts shooting at Bond, and then he comes up. And then they end up having a fight scene, which is a cool fight scene.
Yeah, especially because of the lighting and stuff.
Yeah,
like
the
that.
lighting, the angles that they had it at, because it almost looked like it was being projected, like shadow projections, and because then it ends with him falling down, and he kind of goes, ew, and you can actually see he's holding on to him. And
then this is where I started saying, wait, is James Bond Batman now? Because he literally is like holding him in like, where are the other drugs? I mean, who are you working for?
Yeah, who are you working for? Who's your employer? Swear to me!
And tell me where the heck the other drugs are.
Where's Rachel? Where's Vesper?
Where's the bomb?
But, and then he falls, and the guy's like, bump, 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 and I'm like, woo! Woo! You know he did.
You're like, well, that was a waste of time.
He ain't get me in Mod 24. But Rush Hour 2 reference. But so then he looks up and he sees this woman just kind of looks at him.
And she's like having, windswept hair and stuff like that.
And she's just like,
I see.
I'm too sexy for this movie. Too sexy to live. Oh no, I'm gonna die. But
but you don't know that yet.
yeah, but you don't know that yet. So
and then by chance, for some reason, I don't know why, this assassin was carrying around this chip.
yeah, and he had his whole setup of where he had all of his equipment in. Which, okay, a case full of all of his gun equipment. All right, that makes sense. So then and then there's this coin that says Mawa or Mauer, some location, and he's like, this is oddly convenient.
And then it turns out it's a chip off of very big winnings or something like that.
Yeah, and then
which it sort of makes sense why he's carrying it around, but why would he carry it in his equipment? Wouldn't he want to have it somewhere safer or something like that?
Yeah, and
that's something that anybody could just pick up on.
Especially something that he wouldn't want to trace back to his employers.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I need to get a drink. Alright, were you going to say something?
So, basically, what I was going to say is another sign of professionalism is he goes there and starts touching his stuff, and he's got no gloves on.
Yeah.
So,
but before Bond went into this building, he had gloves on. Then he's like,
well, I'm going to be hanging on to bars or something, and you can't do that with gloves.
you can't do that with leather gloves because that would just screw up your grip, right?
That's actually kind of true, but still, he had these gloves. He could have kept them on him sometime.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I know that they wouldn't. I know that he already, that guy's dead, so they wouldn't need to track him. But I mean, what if someone else involved and touched those and they get those fingerprints? It's just it's scotch. Give me the scotch. Yeah.
And he's like getting his fingerprints all over that. It's like
this coin. It's going to tell me the location of the next plot point. Oh, is this? Wait, how do you know to go here? I read the script. It's like Robin Hood Men in Tights. What happens next? He gets another shot. Okay, I need to have an intermission right now because I'm third. My throat is dry. Wait, we'll be right back.
And we're back. And in your time, that was a few seconds, so this is kind of pointless.
Yeah. But alright, so he finds this next location, and he goes to this place, and he has, this is where he has the shaving scene with Money Quarter?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sexual tension!
With razor blades. That's sexy stuff, guys.
Straight edge razors. Use them. Slice your throats. But so he goes in there, and of course he's getting ready to be Bond. Mm-hmm. And so Money Quarter pops up.
And she's like, I'm going to debrief you on something.
And he's like, she's
like, take your pants off.
You. What is it, Money Quarter? I wouldn't want you to get me in a compromising position. Draw me like one of your French girls.
Oh, Miss Money Quarter, you know I don't know how to draw.
I wasn't talking about drawing. You're right, I can't stop it with the euphemism. Alright. Okay, so still not as inappropriate as this movie.
So yeah, she comes there and she's like, yeah, I'm gonna tell you this and some other stuff.
Yeah, he's like she mentioned stuff about the hard drive or something.
And then he's like, yeah, I know this already.
It's like, I've already been briefed on this, so what's it is?
She's like, I came here to shave you because I told you were gonna do that.
Yeah. Well, it was like she came in and I really don't remember there being a point to her visit other than I'm here to cause sexual tension. And
we talk about the fact that I almost killed you while
I'm
in this position where I could kill you again.
Yeah, you're right. So Bond is putting on the shaving cream and he pulls out a straight blade razor. And she's like, old fashioned, and be like, really, you're going to pull that again? I mean, I don't mind Bond using something like that, but to outright call him old fashioned again.
And then I think this is one of the earliest instances of them going, sometimes you have to do things the old fashioned way, and it gets old quickly.
Yes.
Oh my god.
So they're talking about her shooting him, and then he puts the blade and gives it to her, and you're just like, what? And she's like, you're going to put your life in my hands again. And I was thinking, is that a threat? Are you threatening him, or are you trying to
flirting with him? What the heck is going on?
I got some really ominous, vicious tones from this scene, along with the sexual tension. And I thought Money Quarter was going to be a spy. I thought she was going to be a bad guy. I really did.
It's just like, what is going on? Is this supposed to be, excuse me language, is it supposed to be arousing or frightening?
It was both. Mostly frightening. But so the next thing, it cuts to her shaving him and cutting up stuff, and then they're kind of talking, and then she's like, oh, watch out, this is the most dangerous part, and she gets right here, and
you're like, what is?
And it was like, wait,
what? I don't even know what they were talking about after a while.
What is this? I don't even.
It's like, what was the point of this scene at all?
Yeah, and that's it. The scene didn't have a point. Now, and I'm very unclear on what is happening, but I think I don't know if it's implied that they slept with each other, and I don't know.
It's like open-ended. It's like they may have it, maybe they didn't. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, it's like I'd like to think that they didn't, because one thing is that Bond never slept with Moneypenny.
Ever.
Yeah, from now. That's
right, now you gave it away, but yeah, I guess they could have guessed because you're calling her Money Quarter, but
yeah, she's not Moneypenny. Well, that's the big twist in the end.
But she decides to take on
a desk job because I'm just too incompetent. Because I'm a woman.
It's like, what the?
Yeah, but yeah. So and that's one thing that my mom complained about. He's like, I think that Bond slept with her, and he's like, Bond never slept with Moneypenny in the old movies. But as we know, Skyfall Bond has absolutely no integrity.
Nope. He's Batman, so...
I'm Batman. I don't have any integrity. Batman has more integrity. He has too much integrity. I won't kill. I won't let myself fall to their level. Yeah, pull the Kevin Conroy voice out because I like that Batman. I'm going to put my life in the line, but it has to be mine. No one else's. Not Bond. I'm going to sleep with as many women as I can, and it has to be me, no one else.
And I won't get STD somehow. He's Bond.
Strong genes. But so moving on past that, we get to the casino area and CGI Komodo dragons.
CGI Komodo dragons.
That's like I love that gag.
It's not even supposed to be a gag.
It's just it's unintentionally funny, and I think that was under special effects failure on the Your Mileage May Vary TV tropes. So there was way too much praise for the movie, even on the Your Mileage May Vary. It bordered on Best Bond or Best Bond ever.
It's CGI Komodo dragons. Really, they couldn't
get
find a real Komodo dragon or something like that. I mean, they've got one of those live-action Disney Channel shows where they've got a giant lizard, but they couldn't afford a Komodo dragon for a James Bond movie. Not even one.
Well, the MGM or Metro almost went bankrupt. Though why no one wanted to fund a Bond movie is beyond me, because those are cash cows. And so
it just looks really silly. It's like, that. I mean, usually I don't care that much about CGI. I mean, I've been like, okay, they're gonna take a few shortcuts, whatever. I'm not even gonna complain anymore because it's just the way it is.
That's just the way it is.
There's
Things
no
will
point
never be the same. That's just the way it is.
Okay, we know you're from the 90s. Stop proving it.
It's a Tupac song.
Exactly.
What? All right, moving on. So, all right, so we have more flirting between Bond and Money Quarter. And,
Yeah.
And
While he's in the casino with his CGI Komodo dragons.
Yeah. So he walks in and they're all walking around, talking to each other, occasionally passing. And I kind of like the fading from over radio talk to directly talk. But then and a lot of people were probably thinking, why is that guy talking to himself? And because they stick out because this is an Asian area, so there's a lot of Asian people, and then there's a white guy and a black chick there
who are talking to themselves apparently, except not to each other, just to themselves, separately.
And
it's like, wow, we basically fit the demographic. So it's like Money Quarter's over here, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna talk to you right now.
I know, and I'm going to talk too, and then just shut up, dunk. I get to be Bond. Oh, I'm British now.
So am I. It's not so great.
Stop it, you limey.
You're a limey.
Oh yeah. The first time I heard that was Little Creep.
And he's British. I didn't even know that was his expression.
Yeah. Okay. Alright.
Okay, we're going way off tangent here. Basically.
We're going off the British tangent, but so all right. So what he does is he goes up, and I think he catches a glimpse of that one woman, the one he saw.
After he picks up, the big winnings from the
yeah. He goes into and gives the coin. He's like, I'd like to cash this in, and the chick's
and then they're like, oh, he's someone now, huh?
Okay. Hold on. Hold, please. So they come in, they bring him a cash full of like 4 million euros, and it's in euros. Isn't that convenient? Well, not for British people though. They have to translate it to pounds.
That's true.
But I'm like,
I didn't know they used euros in Shanghai. What's up with that? Or maybe they're implying.
Was it Shanghai or was it some area? Because I think they went to some. I don't know.
I don't even know. It was chock full of Asians. So maybe.
Chock full of Asians. Is that an expression now?
So basically, I mean, I guess they're insinuating that the assassin was European because you could be anywhere in Europe and have euros,
right.
Except maybe Switzerland and England.
Ultimate neutrality barrier. But so all right. So he goes in there and he meets this woman, and she's basically like, I saw you kill that guy, and I know you're not this guy. And then they have their conversation, and basically this kind of picks up where we started talking before about her.
Pretty much, yeah.
He figured out that she was part of a sex trade when she was younger, and she ends up pleading to help her. And again, one of the most heartfelt moments in the entire movie, if not the only heartfelt moment. She tells him to go and to meet her someplace if he can help, and so he says okay, and they leave, and he's going. Excuse me, I think. So they're leaving, and he's leaving, and he crosses this little bridge where it's over the pit of the CGI Komodo dragons, and these two guys.
Random job.
Random task.
Because in the original it's odd job, and then the Austin Powers version is random task. So let's go with random job.
All right, random job pops up, and then 2 other guys behind him, and these are guys who Bond had figured out were watching watching this chick, and basically making sure that she didn't escape, because you see, like, those aren't your bodyguards, they're your captors, and you're like, okay. And I actually think that was a very effective moment when he was talking, because it was like, I'm Sherlock Bond.
Let me Sherlock scan you.
Yeah. This is a sex trade that went on from 1982 to 18. But
and then she's like, well, I thought nobody could help me because you sparked this little opening. And he's like, okay.
Lol, I was lying. I had my fingers crossed behind my back. Lol. But so he goes in there, and we have a pretty good fight scene.
Except for this
CGI Komodo dragons. So So he starts in there, and he's just basically like, okay, give me a moment, let me put the suitcase down, and smack! And he hits the guy, and he ends up fighting them, and the big guy and him, or random job, tackles him, and they fall over into the CGI Komodo dragon pit. And then, of course, the guy Bond's gun falls, the super scanner gun, and it picks it up, and of course you can see little red dots in it. He's like, and Bond's like, oh, okay, go ahead. And he's like, click.
And then, dang it.
Click.
And then this
CGI Komodo dragon
is
grabs
like, wrong! I made of data! I'm hungry!
Yeah, and he goes all paranormal activity and pulls him into the shadows, along with Bond's gun, because Bond doesn't care. It's like, it's like when Q said, I want you to bring back all the equipment, and I bet Bond's like, I'm going to leave it just to spite you. You little jerk. You prick. Or you little twat. You lie me. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know if it's like super hyper insulting in British.
It's not in British. It's basically a long time ago when scurvy was like a thing. The British people figured out that by sucking on lemons and limes and stuff like that, they could avoid scurvy.
Right.
And so the Americans like derogatorily called them limeys because look at them all above it all with their sucking on their lives. Who the heck do they think they are? So it's a cultural thing.
Okay, now I don't feel bad about using it. I'm going to call British people limeys all this time.
Well, it's still a little bit rude.
Well, okay. I'm a hyper-nationalistic American. So you can attest that, Austrian. But
I guess there.
Yeah. So alright. So basically, Bond leaps up by stepping over on a conveniently placed CGI Komodo dragon and jumping off and pulling himself up. And one guy sees who's on the ground and wakes up, and he pulls out a gun. And Money Quarter's like, stop. She's like, ha ha ha. You see, I am of use.
He's like, yeah, you can tell yourself that, Money Quarter.
Yeah, because they keep having this dialogue of whether she's not fit for field duty, and it's setting up to her basically giving up at the end.
It's like, well, I've done one little tiny thing in this one mission, and I totally botched the other one. I quit.
Yeah. So, all right. So we talked about the uncomfortable scene of him walking in on her in the shower,
and then we talked about her gross disposal.
Writers, and this is mostly the same writers who wrote Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace.
But then they also were involved with Die Another Day.
Yeah, I think someone was involved in Die Another Day, so.
But at least even there, the female characters were a little more useful.
It's Halle Berry.
Yeah.
Oh, the Catwoman! Oh, whoa!
Worst Catwoman ever.
Yeah, worst Catwoman or worst Catwoman ever.
So, basically,
so we went up to the scene of him leaving, and so all right, this is all right. Mr. Silva is captured. That's where we pick up.
Yeah.
So he mocks James Bond for not being prepared or anything for this, and at the end he pulls out the cavalry and he's like, latest thing from Q Branch, radio, and he had turned it on right before he got onto the island. So I think it was a pretty good throwback at this guy who's like, I'm a super hyper smart tech guy. What you gonna do? Radio. But
and then it's all he gets.
And this is actually where the plot really falls apart.
So then they leave for Severin or whatever her name was.
Yeah. And yeah, they just leave her there. That's it. Just cuts to him being captured, and
I think they have like one last shot dedicated to her, then they just leave.
I don't even think there was anything dedicated to her after that. It was
yeah, it was pretty good.
I don't remember. So she was like completely not important to anything.
And then they went off, and they put her into the computer guarded glass jail cell.
Yeah, they put Mr. Silva in this.
And then he has his whole sob story of, hey, you left me, and then the sign of
and this is where we find out what actually happened with him. He was an agent a hacker guy who was stationed in Hong Kong, and he basically M said that he was going off beyond himself, beyond what he was supposed to be doing, and was it the Chinese? I think it was the Chinese.
I'm guessing it's the Chinese because in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember exactly who she said it was. It's like, and the Chinese were getting on to him because he was doing unauthorized stuff that he wasn't supposed to. So
Basically, it's his own downfall.
Yeah. So M was presented with the option of, we want turn this guy in and we'll give you six agents that we have in custody, and she took it and she gave Mr. Silva, and I can understand that
because it's hard, but you can see why she would have to do that because that's pretty bad situation to be in.
Yeah, because I mean, if you have a guy who's probably going to end up being captured anyway, there's a good chance that he's going to dick around too much and get caught, and you have a chance to get him up and then get six other agents. It's a no-brainer, and M has shown that she weighs stuff in because she called the shot at James Bond because she.
Even though James Bond is at this point her favorite, and it's implied that Silva was also her favorite that time.
Yeah, so.
That sometimes these things have to be done with hard decisions.
And that's her job M's job is to make the hard choices. Mm-hmm. You're the leader of an intelligence organization. You don't make easy choices.
And these are secret. They know that their life are supposed to be disposable.
Yeah. If you screw up or something goes wrong, we will deny any knowledge of your existence, and you will not be important. I'm pretty sure that's how MI6 would work, especially with someone like James Bond or, if I'm guessing, Silva.
So if it's like the superior decides this, then you can understand that it's maybe like GoldenEye told me maybe he felt betrayed because they had worked together and they felt like brothers. So there the betrayal makes a little more sense. Yeah. But here it's like the superior who had a call to make and she decided this call, and you were going in there knowing this could be a possibility.
Yeah. And one thing about GoldenEye is that so 006 007 are on this one mission, and they have to blow up this one thing. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen GoldenEye, but again, they have to blow up this one thing, and Bond sets it for 6 minutes. So, and then he tells 006, he's like, all right, we have 6 minutes starting now till the place blows. So he's like, okay. So he goes off and he starts doing his thing, and things get hairy. So Bond goes up and changes it from 6 minutes to 3 minutes. And 006 is still there, and things go boom, and 006 is presumed dead. And then he comes back and he's like, I am super pissed. You can't kill Sean Bean that easily. You have to, drop a satellite on me or something.
Or run me over with a bunch of sheep. That actually happened. That was amazing.
I've seen that. But, and I think I don't know if I said it in this video, but the 006 already has that matching. He already plays the duality of basically being James Bond but bad in GoldenEye. So that was none better than Mr. Silva. Okay, so
and then this is one of our favorite scenes of him.
Oh yeah. So basically, during the scene where he's discussing what happened, and
he goes there and he's like, "Tell me my name. I know you still remember what it was."
And then M turns around.
She's like, your name was on
was on the memorial wall of the building that you blew up.
But we're gonna strike it out.
It will be struck down. And she leaves. You're just like,
dang!
Hell yeah! Oh, go M! Like, don't let this guy mess with you.
It's like,
yeah. So, did we talk about the cyanide?
I think we talked about it briefly, but basically.
Yeah. So this is the scene where he talks about, and he's like,
and then more bad CG or whatever.
I don't really know if it was CG or not, but he's like, look, and he's like. And he pulls out these dentures, and you see his teeth are like, either like just a couple of them,
And his
and they're like completely rotted.
What's it called? His cheeks are like going inside and stuff like that, and his eyes have been drooping or whatever.
Yeah, and he's just like, this is what happened to my house.
And you're like, wow, that was unnecessarily gruesome.
And it's like, and this is like they said that the cyanide hydrogen, or I don't remember, hydrochloric cyanide or whatever it was. He's like, this is what it does to you. And I was,
you're like, really?
and I think I would have liked a better explanation if, I think it would have been better if they, I think it would have been, I'm personally thinking what they should have done is they should have caught him trying to use it, like yanked the tooth out that had the cyanide in it,
Yeah.
and then started pulling out his teeth.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, that would have been messed up, but it would have made a heck of a lot more sense.
Why he's like so crazy or something like that.
And it's implied that he was tortured and stuff, and I can understand that. I mean, being tortured is not going to be good to your mental health.
No.
But so they leave out, and this is where Em explains the choice she had to make to bond, and she said his name is Rodrigo, or something Rodrigo or something, I don't remember.
Yeah. So
just call him Mr. Silva. That was basically his code name. And so then they go up into Q, and he has Mr. Silva's laptop. That's why they had a convenient laptop. I think they were trying to get to the excuse me. He's trying to get to the
info that he had.
Yeah,
in the first place.
and I think it was the info on the hard drive. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, did we mention that he was putting the stuff on YouTube?
Oh yeah, that.
I forgot to mention that. He
like one of the earlier scenes showed that he put
five agents' names on YouTube.
And he's like, for every day that you do not confess, I'm going to, or was it every week or something like that? He puts like a deadline that. For this amount of time, like you do not confess your sins or whatever,
or do something. I don't remember exactly what it was.
I'm gonna put up 5 more.
Yeah, and then they showed the scenes of agents being
captured and
tortured. And in one case, and they mentioned one of them was killed. But so that was I forgot to mention that because that was a little relevant to the early talk.
But basically, they forget it too. So
yeah,
what's the
it's
point?
completely forgotten. So the Q plugs into the computer and stuff, and they have this, of course, Hollywood hacking. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "This is multi-algorithms encrypted and stuff."
But don't worry, I invented it.
He says, "I invented this, so I invented these secure algorithms." And like, really?
Then why is it taking you so long?
Yeah.
Smart ass.
Yeah. You're a prick. Q. But so now the way this is presented is they have all these little dots and stuff, and it's kind of moving around. They have these letters and stuff on them, and on the side of it, let's see, I think it was, I'm trying to match this up on the camera. It was right here, and they had 2 rows going down. 2 rows, and they each had a bunch of different letters and stuff on them. And of course, Bond comes up, and he was like, "Look at this one," and it says, "Try matching that to that," and Q was like, boom, it's like Granborough. It says, "Type that in," and you're like, wait.
Since when is Bond an expert in this?
Yeah, and it's like, I'm pretty sure hacking doesn't work like that. It's a Bond movie, so I'll give you some leeway, especially in a Craig movie. But
wait, aren't the Craig movies supposed to be more realistic?
Well, yeah, and I mean it's no credit. No. You should. I mean, it's just, I know it's supposed to look cool, but I think that the Craig movies have fallen quite a bit away from their original
intent.
The intent, because even if the old ones, after every fight, Bond was beaten up in Casino Royale a lot, and he was messed up, and he had to continually change his suit because he'd get into a fight and the suit would be all messed up and all sliced up through with knives and things. I think he went through like 3 suits during the Hold'em match. That took up like half of the movie, but yeah. In this, I don't know. I think that he's getting less injured every time, and it's more of, I just had this one injury, and ow.
And the shrapnel didn't give me blood poisoning, so hooray for that.
The depleted uranium didn't give me blood poisoning.
Or maybe the secret to surviving blood poisoning is and
that it all makes sense now. That's why he was going out and banging winches.
Medical science, get in there.
You see, Bond probably has this. Bond is probably a succumbus.
I think it's an incubus when it's male.
Incubus.
Yeah.
That. Either that or he's powered by sex and he literally has to continually have it, or else he can't do it. Which is why he's so old and stuff, because he hasn't been having sex. I kind of start feeling uncomfortable talking about this in a room full of people.
You'll just say, we're talking about James Bond, and they'll be like,
It's like,
okay.
And the guy will come up and be like, what are you talking about? James Bond? Okay. Yeah. All right. We're going back to the hacking. We were talking about hacking.
How did we get here? Okay.
For want of a nail. But so when they get to the hacking, they figure out Granborough and they type it in, and it was like bing, and then it was like basically a message came up and. I'll sum it up, be like, you're getting hacked, y'all, lol. And he was like, how did he get to our secured system? And he's like,
well, don't you know, this is Dr. Silva, you can do anything.
Yeah. Oh, bollocks. And he goes up and he pulls the cords out of the laptop and he's like, oh, this probably wasn't the best idea, was it, to have it connected to our secure network?
Oh, you think?
So then all the doors and everything open. And because every single door is controlled by the computer system.
Which is also, a stroke of genius.
Yeah, so Bond hightails it to Mr. Silva's prison cell, where of course it's gone, and the guys there are just dead. The two guys, I think there was 2 guys, one guy on the inside, one guy on the outside, they're both dead.
You're like, wait, how incompetent are you? This guy was hired for his hacking skills.
Yeah, and I just can't stress this enough. This guy is a hacker. And, I need to talk about this right now. This guy reminds me too much of Light Yagami. He has so many awesome things about him. He's obviously a capable killer as well, as being a hacker who's intelligent enough to hack MI6, and without any inside men, without any inside information, he can hack it and get whatever information he wants. And it's like, this is the problem I have with Light Yagami, is that he's smart, he's good looking, he's charismatic, he's incredibly athletic, and on top of that, he's just absolutely freaking brilliant, able to outsmart everyone. And that gets really boring when you have a villain like that. And Light Yagami is the villain of his own story because he's insane. But when he it's not fun to watch someone continually succeed like that. Because Bond always succeeds. You know that. But when he succeeds, you're like, yeah, shoot the bad guys.
Finally.
Yeah, and just. Mr. Silva is so hyper confident. He also reminds me of Heath Ledger's the Nolan versus Joker, which I have extreme disdain for, but that's a topic for another discussion. But the Mr. Silva is just, he's too good. There's nothing holding him back besides the fact that he likes to toy around with people.
But see, even the Joker had inside men.
Yeah, even the Joker. if the Nolan versus Joker was handled better, and that's saying something.
For you.
That's saying something for me because I hate that version of the Joker. There's nothing. It takes away all the good stuff from the Joker, like his sense of humor and the fact that while he was completely insane, he was genuinely funny. Just watch the animated series or version or the Arkham verse from the Arkham games. But
Mark Hamill.
yeah, Mark Hamill, you dog.
But let's get back to James Bond.
Yeah, James Bond. So Mr. Silva, he's too competent in everything. He's just and to the point where like I can't expect him to lose because I don't know what the writers were thinking, but having arrogance and wanting to toy around with your opponent be the only flaws in your villain aren't very good flaws. I mean, I'll compare this to Code Geass. Even though Lelouch is not evil and he's not the bad guy, he's very anti-hero and he's a very dark character. And he had a lot of flaws. Like, he was physically incapable. He's a terrible mech pilot, but he's smart. And even then, he gets outsmarted all the time. So when he wins, you actually have a sense of accomplishment. And when he beats his opponents, you actually there's a oh crap moment going on. So while I could complain about the story of Code Geass, I think that was, if you're talking about someone who's on that side of things being tricked, it's like it's compared to Schneisel and Code Geass, who's one of the bad guys. Even he gets the upper hand on Lelouch, but even he has flaws, and he gets tricked by one of this one really gag or a trick that Lelouch pulled in the first season. So all right.
Okay, so you want an example of Mr. Silva being hyper competent. He is able to predict what's it called? He's able to predict the location of the London Underground subway.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's infamous for being unpredictable. It's never on time.
I read stuff about that. Talking about saying how the hell did he account for when exactly because after he escapes, there's Bond follows him into these tunnels, which I also read that there's absolutely no way that they would have been able to have radio contact in the tunnels because all the radio signals would have been blocked
they were
or something.
underground too, so that's sort of excusable, but
Science. Shut up. So when they chase him
Science
down,
is James Bond's wish.
ding. But okay, so they track him. He follows him down into the tunnel, and he goes up to this one door, and he's like, service door, and he's like, it's locked, and there's a train coming. And, no, he goes up to the door, and he's like, it's locked. And I'm like, a train's totally gonna come out of nowhere. And Bond's like, oh good, it's a train. I'm like, yeah. So ends up Q telling him to put his back into it, and then he's just like, bang, 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 and he jumps in there. And he just goes through, and he continues to follow Silva until Silva is climbing up, and there's this like big area, kind of big wide area. Kind of makes me think of an absurdly spacious sewer. So he's climbing up this ladder. Mr. Silva's climbing up this ladder, and Bond pulls out his gun. And he's like, bang, 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 and he hits the typical sparks that come off the metal. Because whenever someone shoots, they are always attracted to metal. Because that's all they ever hit in movies.
Magnetism.
Yeah, I'm going to shoot, ding, 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 metal. But so then Bond's
thank goodness this ladder was here, otherwise I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah. So so he shoots, like, next time I won't miss. And then Mr. Silva throws something back at him, like, neither will I, or something. And he's like, latest thing, radio. Click, and he clicks this thing. And
like this hole appears, and he's like,
wait, was he in the police outfit yet?
Yeah, I think he was in the police outfit. What happened is he stole. this one guy who was dressed as a police or something gave him an outfit, and then
Right.
he was chasing him through the
Right. Okay.
crowd.
Right.
And
So,
then they went underground.
right.
I don't even know. It's
Wait.
confusing.
It
is the point is they get to this.
All right. So yeah, he chases him, and at some point, Silva gets a
Gets a police.
he walks by this couple guys dressed as police officers, and one hands him a bag, and it cuts away, and then then boom, he's in a police outfit.
Mm-hmm.
So
because up to now he's been walking around in this weird hospital gown or prison
it's
gown.
basically his prison outfit.
Mm-hmm.
So he
So in order that he doesn't call too
right,
much
too
attention
much
to himself.
It's the tube, so no one really cares. Convicts go down that all the time. But so so it's crowded, and Bond's like, I can't see anything. Q, tell me where he is. And then Q's looking at all his computers, and he's like,
And then you, like, for 5 minutes, he's there staring at this guy who clearly looks like him, and he's there.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Silva has this very distinct blonde hair, and so he
and he's like, well, this guy could be here, but he's wearing a police outfit. That's weird.
Yeah, so he sees this guy, and he kind of has that hair, that blonde hair, kind of somewhat
that long
blonde
face.
Yeah, and that long face, and he's wearing a police outfit, and he stops, and he gets on the train. Bond's like, should I get on the train? Because the train is about to leave. And he's like, should I get on the train, Q? And he's like, no, don't get on the train. And he's like, click, click, click. And this is, I thought that Q was working for him at this point. I thought Q was going to be a mole.
That would have been brilliant, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's so many wasted opportunities on great, legitimate plot twists. But, yeah, so he sits there, and he's like, and then the doors close. And Q sits up there, and he's like, slowly playing back at one segment, and he's like, zoom in, enhance. Bond, get on the train. As the train is leaving.
And he's like, well, it took you long enough.
So then Bond runs after it, and he jumps on the back of the train, and then we get this hilarious scene. These two people, and this old couple sitting behind, one of the guy's like, well, he's keen to get home. And then Bond's sitting on the thing of it, and there's this one woman who's in the back kind of like controlling it, and he's just like, open the door. And she's just like, oh, what's going on? He's like, open the door. So she opens it, and he walks in, and he's like public safety or something, and he walks through. And I thought that was a funny scene. So he ends up going there and seeing this guy as he's going through the train, and he gets off, and he chases him down, and the guy, and still basically they have this chase, and so it's kind of cool, especially when they do that slide down scene, and Bond just slides off and keeps running. But basically, Silva gets away by getting himself by hiding with a bunch of other police officers. So Bond's like,
oh crap.
right, and let's see, and then okay, I don't remember exactly how that connects. I think he follows through a door or something. I think this is where they go underground.
Yeah.
So then there's a scene where them at all right, we'll go back. There's a scene where him at the ladder, and he blows something, and he hits an explosive, and it blows a huge hole, like 20-30 feet behind Bond, or 10-15 meters. But so yeah, and Bond's like, I hope that wasn't for me, and he's like, no, but this is. And then a train comes right through at him, and it's like, so he was able to predict how the exact path that they would go at the exact time to where that train would come in, and it was just like it's a gambit roulette. It was like there's so much chance that something could go wrong.
Like, I can imagine he's there. I mean, I wonder if they're gonna do this in like how it should have ended. That he's there. I know, but this is, and then they're just standing there awkwardly, and he's like,
bang.
Well, I don't get it. The train was supposed to hit you right now, and he's like, That's the London Underground for you.
Bang! Yeah. Never trust the London Underground. Bang! Because we need more Bond one-liners.
At appropriate times. That's when a poor woman who's been in a sex trade since her preteens was just murdered out of cold blood.
Jerk. So basically, this goes into M is at a hearing. Mm-hmm. It's a trial, really, which is one of the dumbest scenes in the entire movie.
And this is especially dumb because it's one of the few scenes where M is involved, which is also dumb.
Yeah.
The other scene comes later, but we'll get there.
So
eventually.
Is that one near the end?
Yeah.
When they're at the manor.
Mm.
Okay, so
I don't know. Pretty much all the scenes in the manor were kind of weak.
Yeah. So it's
Prime Minister is like, it's not the golden age of espionage anymore, and once again, it's a woman.
Yeah.
There.
And she is definitely being played as if she's kind of stupid, doesn't get it. But it's like they're just. I just don't get what they're trying to say with this.
No, it's not saying good stuff.
Yeah. So. She goes on talking about how this isn't the golden age of espionage anymore, and she kind of has that Dolores Umbridge voice going on in this. No, you shouldn't do this, and it says, why do we need agents? We have computers, and those are so super special, awesome, and you think we live in a golden age of espionage, and agents, you're doing more harm than good. You're just stupid.
You think you can do things, Nemo, but you can't.
Yeah.
I've had to throw in some quote because I didn't watch the Harry Potter movies. I'm surprised to know who Dolores Umbridge is.
Yeah. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelled of elderberries. I was expecting her to say something like that, just because she's going on in this rant, and it's literally a rant, and even Ralph Fiennes comes in and he's like, for the sake of variety, let's hear from the defendant.
And she's like, thank you, Voldemort.
For
not calling somebody old for once.
Yeah. Let's let the old defendant speak.
This close.
Sometimes the old ways are the better ways. So basically so all this time Bond is contacting her assistant since he can't get a hold of M, and I'm guessing, and he's saying, get M out. She is in danger. Silva is out.
And she's like, pish posh, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I have poetry to recite or something.
Yeah, and
this is like M poetry slam.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is also a sad thing. I mean, you wouldn't know this, but I think it was at a Casino Royale or something, and there's a scene of him communicating with her, and you see her husband in the bed. And by this time, her husband has died, so you're just like, oh, we never knew his name or who he was. I didn't know if he was important at all. But then
she said that, this is something your husband used to say?
My late husband was a fan of poetry, and it rubbed off on me.
And then I was I thought she was married once, huh? And
it was really only a few years ago in terms of, I'm guessing, the timeline. Him, doesn't let anything bother her. But
so here's another difference between having watched Bond movies and not.
Yeah. So then she starts reading this poetry, and this poetry is being read, and I think it's supposed to be symbolic because it shows Bond running, and he's like, oh my gosh, I gotta get to M, and then Silva's like, getting guns ready.
Gotta get to M, baby.
Oh.
I did that a bit too good, didn't I?
Moving on. But anyway, so they're going there, and I'm confused. One, because this idiot prime minister, how the hell did you even get chosen for this position? And
Yeah, she was elected by the Queen or something. I don't know.
yeah,
This isn't a democracy. It's England.
yeah. How do I British politics?
Yeah.
So basically, I don't get why she's so railing on M. M screwed up. M getting basically fired for that, I can understand. But them going on and on of
And saying they want to shut down the MI6.
yeah, they want to shut down the 00 program, and basically all we need are computers. And it's just, why do we need human intelligence? You think we live in a golden age where we don't use anything else? It's like, one, I'm pretty sure that we've used that all intelligence agencies have used every available resource as soon as possible.
In fact, the Bond movies have been like a big advocate of
Gadgets.
that don't even exist.
Yeah. And I mean, I know that there's a dependence on human agents, but wait. So you're telling me that all of these undercover NATO agents that we made such a big stink over them getting captured and killed
Are pretty much wasting their time.
are wasting our time, that we should all be using computers? It's going back to this very poorly shown theme of old versus new, and it just doesn't work.
No.
So M refusing to leave. What the crap?
She knows she's being targeted, obviously.
And it's definitely, and it's brought up several times that she trusts Bond explicitly, and that she favors him. So when Bond is saying, "Get out, get him out now," and they're just like, "Whatever," and it don't really matter. And then of course Silva comes in, shooting up all the other guys around there, all the guards in this place, because everyone else is a sack of potatoes.
They're like, "Oh no, gunfire! What do we do?"
Oh no, we're not equipped with guns. But
what do we have a security detail for?
I have a stick. Bang.
And then Voldy finally does something.
Yeah. So Silva bursts in. It's like bang, 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 firing, and then this one guy, I don't even remember who the heck he was. He literally jumps in. He just kind of stands up and he's in front of him and he gets shot. And I was thinking,
was it the assistant or?
It wasn't the assistant, because he's still there and he's there at the end.
All right.
But it was just like, I thought, oh my gosh, M's going to die. M's going to die. Please don't die. I don't want M to die. I was saying throughout this movie, if M dies, I'm going to hate this movie, because they're going to pull an Amy and Rory on us, and I don't want them to do that. Even though I was expecting it. Yeah. Doctor Who spoilers. Spoilers. So basically,
she doesn't die here.
She doesn't die here. So there's gunfire. All the other guards are getting shot, and then Money Quarter pulls out the gun. And she's just like, pew, 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 pew,
oh yeah, Money Quarter said that's the game.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't remember if she shot anyone. So James Bond comes in through a side door, and Ralph Fiennes, he's grabbing M out of the way, because a woman can't take care of herself in this movie. She has to have a man defend her.
Yep.
And he grabs it, and he gets shot in the shoulder, and it's this one. Yeah, I remember, because he had a sling like that.
Oh yeah.
But so he comes in, and he picks up a gun, and he's like bang, 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 and they mentioned before that he used to be in the service. So okay, and so he's firing, and then James Bond comes in, and that was this really cool thing is there are two fire extinguishers on either side, and he shoots one and it creates a smoke screen. He moves in and shoots the other one, and it has this huge smoke screen, and Silva's just like, and then he leaves and he goes bang, and he shoots one guy, and you're just like, whoa, and then they get him out, and then it was like
young Q makes himself useful.
Yes. And
do you want to see something really awesome?
Okay.
It's gonna get really long.
Oh, it's already like 2 hours.
Press that.
You got Rick rolled. Don't worry, we're only at 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to put this up in parts or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Around and just. All right, no, we need to finish this. Skyfall. Okay, so all right.
In
No.
the sky, all the
Those will come around and bite you in the butt. Skyfall. We search Searle. But all right. Now this next part is when Bond kidnaps M, right?
Yeah.
So M is getting out, and and so Bond runs out, and he sees this car, and he's like, So then M gets in this car, and then drives off before anyone else can do anything. And then Bond's in it, and he's like, it's like da 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 da, and she's like, "Are you kidnapping me?" He's like, "That's one way of putting it." But so then they go out, and then he contacts Q, and he's like, and then he says, he's like, basically, I need to leave breadcrumbs for Silva to follow.
And then he's like,
Okay. So they're leaving breadcrumbs for Silva to follow them. I'm guessing. I think it's to follow them, right?
yeah. They want to leave breadcrumbs so that nobody else will disturb it because he's technically off the grid end.
Yeah. So
So they want to like put the final showdown on their terms.
right, which makes sense. You want to make sure you are in control of as many elements as possible. But how they do this whole plan at the end is just dumb. D-U-M-D.
I mean, it had a little good setup or something like that.
It wasn't really good setup. I mean, they were leading up to something, and then when you find out what his plan was, it's just like, really, Bond man?
Drew the Bond cave.
No. And they have a Bond cave.
It's incredible. I was like, okay, they're not even trying to not make him Batman.
Yeah.
It's just like they might as well say James Bond's backstory. He's Batman.
Yeah, that's it. It's when they're writing the movie. So we get James Bond's backstory. He's Batman.
So yeah.
So
They basically made drive all the way to Scotland, where they only make like one.
Oh no! Remember, they drive up, and after he tells Q to leave the crumbs, and Q's sitting there with M's assistant, and then Ralph Fiennes walks up, and I thought it was going to be a,
Oh boy.
what are you doing? Bang bang moment. No, he's just like, carry on, and he makes a suggestion and just leaves, and you're just like, no one was a double agent.
It's like they had so much set up for a double agent, but it's like, oh, did you meet this guy? His name is Herring, Red Herring.
Yeah, my name is Harry. Red Harry. Dun-dun-dun. And you know, it's funny, when I was watching this with my mom the first time, she kept saying, oh, he's a double agent. Or, she's a double agent. And he's a double agent. And I was like, Mom, not everyone is a double agent.
And then it turns out, you know what, no, the double agent. What a waste.
Yeah, and if Money Quarter and Q were double agents, I think that would have been an amazing thing, because that would explain how he has all the information, and he knew his stuff, and it would explain why Bond got shot at the beginning, and it just, it makes the narrative more cohesive. And
Yes.
yeah.
But it's like, they maybe had an idea somewhere, but then they thought, nah, we don't want
and
to.
a lot of these problems are first draft issues. It's like, okay, you know, you have this interesting story, go back and rewrite it. You need to fill in plot holes. You need to expand explanations. You need to cut explanations that are unneeded, like James Bond being old. We don't need to be constantly told this.
Okay, so then after the whole Ralph Fiennes is not a double agent either,
So then
they go to this warehouse,
yes.
and
then she's like, I hope you're not making me stay here. And he's like, oh, shut up. And he opens it up. And you see an old style Aston Martin.
And
it was
then you're like,
yeah.
yeah.
It was like, this is, I mean, and they played the James Bond music. And it was like, da-da, da-da, da-da. And you're just like, oh my gosh, oh yeah, oh my gosh. It's like, oh, I want to celebrate. Because that's awesome. And they had so many, they had a gag with that. So, and she's like, I'm getting in this. And he's just like, the thing about company cars is that they have trackers in it. This is old school. Something's a better old fashioned. But so they end up driving his Aston Martin. I mean, this is like Connery era. That, at least from what I can tell, this is. I mean, this is like the one that like the old ones in the 60s and 70s, or maybe 60s. I don't remember. I don't know the era, but I know it's an old Bond car, and it even has some of the gadgets and stuff, which I thought was really cool. And definitely anachronistic order. Anachronistic order. It's like, wait a second, or it's just like he tries to screw with the continuity. It's like, did all that stuff actually happen?
Or no, this is so weird.
It's the same.
I mean, it's kind of cool, but
it's the same problem I had with Die. It's the same problem you have with Die Another Day when you see all the other Bond gadgets. Like, did all of this actually happen?
It's like James Bond the clone, a legacy character. What's going on? And then this is also another problem with the whole James Bond is Batman. It turns out his name is actually James Bond. They don't even go like James Bond is a title that they give old 007.
Yes, that is one thing I thought, and I the way I see it, the only movies that are truly in continuity are the ones that have the same Bond actor. So all the Brosnan ones are in a continuity. All of the Sean Connery ones are in their own specific continuity. Then you have the Craig ones are definitely a reboot. But this was just confusing. But we'll get to that in a minute after we. So they get into this car and M starts complaining about I think it's like the ride was stiff or something, and then Bond goes up to the stick shift and he pops the thing and there's a red button and she's like, "Oh, go ahead, eject me." I'm like, ah.
So they have a bunch of banter about this car.
Yes, it's a pretty awesome car. So and he closes it and they continue driving. Meanwhile, 10,000 miles away. But yeah, they drive all the way to Scotland in this car. They have some rest, and then they have ambiguous talk about Bond's past, which I think it would have been better if they had left it at that and didn't go farther. And she basically said, and she's like, "Oh, this is where you were from," and he's like, "You know everything about this."
And
she's like,
"I don't even need to tell you."
And she's like, "Offense make the best recruits," and you're like, we just need to leave it. That is the most exposition that Bond needs for a backstory.
They got him as an orphan, and that's kind of like crazy, but it makes sense and stuff.
Yeah, and it's stuff that hails back to stuff that I've heard from the show Burn Notice, when one of Michael Weston's narrations talk about how good spies don't come from happy families. Mm-hmm. He says, and Michael Weston came from an abusive father, a rude mother, a rude but caring mother, and an irresponsible brother, and he was just like rebellious. So he made an excellent spy, and I mean, it makes sense saying orphans make the best recruits, and it's simple. You don't need to do much. And then
they go to Skyfall.
Oh, where the plot falls, we will stand tall and lose all the box office money. But they got all the box office money. But so yeah, we said this before. This is kind of what we started out with, right? Mm-hmm. Sort of a bookend.
Yeah. So they go to
Skyfall, which it's the name of James Bond's estate and his family estate, and his name is James Bond. They run into an old man who's like,
"Oh yeah." Then I was like, "Okay, his parents are dead. Check. He grew up to be a crime fighter. Check. He's got an old faithful manservant. Check.
Named Kincaid with a shotgun, and bonus points for being British, like Alfred."
Well, Kincaid was Scottish, but yeah.
No, but he had a British accent. And someone complained. It's like, so this guy, who's supposed to be from Scotland, speaks in a British accent.
And then, as it turns out later, he's got a cave.
Yes.
Double check.
Yes, and
he lives in a big, elaborate bed. What's it called? Secluded mansion.
Yeah.
Check.
Can't
keep that a
Bond
girlfriend.
Man. Yeah, can't keep a girlfriend. Check. Quadruple check. But
so yeah, I just kept on going.
Why?
I mean, all I needed to hear is that his parents were killed in an alley by some mugger. And
After behind the movie theater that played Zorro. But yeah,
Well-
and I was waiting for them to say that his parents were killed when he was 8. I was just waiting for that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, James Bond
did
is.
they say that?
No, they didn't. They didn't outright say that.
Okay.
But it's implied that he was very young when that happened. And so we have Kincaid come in, and he's like, James, and from that moment I'm like, no.
No, they can't
His
be.
name can't be James Bond.
And then it's even more hammers it in when you see the initials of his father. Later, the gravestones of his parents,
yeah.
and it's like Andrew and Melissa or Martha Bond,
No.
whatever.
Yeah. Yes. Thomas and Martha Bond.
Yeah, you might as well have called it Thomas and Martha.
It was
Nobody cares.
it was Andrew and something like a French name.
Oh, right, she had a French
Like
name.
Monique.
Yeah.
Monique Bond. But I must explain where he got his pretty eyes.
His pretty eyes.
Beautiful eyes with beautiful eyes. All right. So then we have a reminiscing scene between Kincaid and Bond.
And then Kincaid seems to be almost playing on the Bond charm on M, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I thought that was funny and disturbing. Old people flirting.
Yeah, it's like, dude, stop that.
Gross. Ew, I feel like a 5-year-old seeing two people kiss and be like, ew, cooties.
It's like, I don't want your old guy cuties. Go somewhere else.
Yeah, and he, so yeah. Then we find out Bond's brilliant plan
That's to lure them to his estate.
and where he is like, step 1, lure them to his estate. Step 2, question mark. Step 3, kick serious butt. Step 4, profit. and really, so he goes up to Kincaid and he's like, all right, do we still have a gun room? You're like, okay, what's the guns? Nope, it's empty. They were all sold to some collector in Idaho, except his father's hunting rifle.
Because that's the one thing they wouldn't sell.
Yeah, that's the one thing that Kincaid refused to sell. It was just,
Really?
it's like, so your brilliant plan was to lure them to your estate
Where you barely have any weapons.
and then pull a hot fuzz and carry every single weapon on you or something? Because there were a bunch of guns, there's supposed to be a bunch of guns there. And, it just,
So yeah, they booby trap the house.
yeah, so yeah.
In a sort of,
It's like Home Alone,
except
but
a
deadly.
lot. Yeah. And even Home Alone could be a bit deadly.
I bet if Home Alone wasn't a kid's movie, they would be dead. It was like, this is like Home Alone, directed by Christopher Nolan.
Oh god, yeah.
It even has the ridiculous amount of length in it. So,
It's just Home Alone with these two old geezers who are flirting with each other, and it's kind of awkward.
and then James Bond. I could see that. It was like James Bond is young, and his parents are like, "No, we left James back there."
No, you have to do it in a British or Scottish
Oh
accent.
no, we left James back there. No. And then he's like, "All right, time to get the tar feathers and dynamite." So yeah, so they do a bunch of cool stuff in this. Like one thing that Judi Dench did is she got shotgun shells, and she basically unscrewed them or something.
Unscrewed light bulbs?
Yeah, she broke the light bulbs and plugged these shotgun shells into it, like so the gunpowder would be ignited when the lights were turned on, and she wrapped up a bunch of nails to it, which I thought was quite a good idea. And I'm like, I'm doing something. Yes, a woman doing something in this movie. Finally, and she only gets 1 or 2 guys. And before she has to hide in a corner and be like, oh no, I've never been good at this shot. Pew, 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 pew. Yeah. And then Kincaid saws off the end of his shotgun.
Because he's never going to use that for hunting or anything again.
Right. And then they waste ammo. Oh, let's see. I just sawed off my shotgun. What should I do? Hey, it's a door. Wow. I just wasted some ammo.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, pretty awesome. And then there was a funny scene. I don't particularly like it in terms of them establishing previous character for James Bond, but there's a scene where Kincaid had Bond, like he had his father summoning a rifle and he's shooting, and he has these two bottles, and Kincaid's like, remember what I told you as a kid? He says, don't let it pull to the left. Bang, bang! And he's like, and then Bond just kind of sits there and walks away, and Kincaid's like, what did you say you do? And we missed another Bond one-liner. He should have said something like, accountant. Again, it's like...
And then, yeah, that whole scene just goes, oh yeah, that shoulder injury he had...
Gone. What shoulder injury? Certainly not the chest injury from a rifle round.
Definitely.
So,
yeah, now, after the girl's dead, I can't let that go, but now his shoulder injury doesn't act up.
Yeah. Because the plot works to get rid of women.
Yep. So yeah, then finally Silva comes there in fanfare and he's...
Wait, not yet, remember. So they have these booby trapping, especially one that I liked is that he has two shotgun shells wired to be like a pressure thing underneath this one panel. And so when you step on it, it's like boom! And so yeah, that was cool. So
the shotgun shells are dynamite?
No, it was the shotgun shells. The dynamite was... Where did he use the dynamite?
I don't know anymore.
Yeah, you know what? I don't remember him where he placed the dynamite because I remember he stuck two red things into the floorboards and they look like shotgun shells. So I
thought that was the dynamite. I don't even know anymore.
No, because remember when the guy stepped on it, it was like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Well, then maybe there was no dynamite.
Yeah. So they So what happens is that they see a bunch of guys coming down this long path that leads to the manor, and they're sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Kincaid also shows him the Bond cave.
Oh yeah.
And it was apparently a Reformation age cave that led to this one church. And
you're like, wow, that doesn't sound at all like Batman Begins.
Yeah. Yeah. Bond is Batman. It's official.
Bond is British Batman.
Knight and Squire.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's okay.
You're supposed to be the comic expert.
Yeah. I hadn't even clicked with me, but I don't think that's the origin of Knight and Squire. His parents weren't killed. It's just basically something that he did.
My parents are dead.
He's like, jolly good. I'm going to go around. And the current Knight and Squire, he's not even the original one. He's
the original Squire.
He was the original Squire, and his Squire is now a little girl called Beryl. Well, or that's what happened before New 52. I don't even know if they exist anymore.
Yeah, I do remember a story with her and Stephanie Brown. And okay, we need.
Okay, you're going way off tangent here.
Why do you have to be like Batman, James Bond? You're distracting us.
Yes. Why can't you just be James Bond?
Yeah.
It's like you and Green Arrow. Can't you just be yourselves?
No. So
okay.
So these guys come in. There's a group of 6-8 guys come in, and so they walk in, and they go up and they plant a charge on the door, and the car's parked out front. So they look at that, and then James Bond kind of pokes his head out from the car, and you're like, oh, he's in the car. Boop! He presses a button, and it pulls out the machine guns from the lights. And it's like, and it mows down like half the guys, or several of them anyway, and they all start firing at the car,
and then there's gunfire.
And then he goes like pew pew, and more instant death bullets. Then they basically go into the house, and so they hit some of the booby traps, like M sees. And she's like, click, boosh, like nails of death come down, and then Kincaid's like, and then he kind of ends up kind of freaking out. He's like, oh my gosh, and then he's like dropping all of his shotgun shells all over the place, and he's like, and then Bond has this really cool moment where once he finishes the guys outside, he goes into the house and he tosses his father's hunting rifle, kicks up a machine gun and grabs it and goes, and then just continues going. I'm like, oh, I want a gif of that. So.
And then he's like, Kincaid, I'm in the kitchen. And I almost, like, as he said that, I almost expected him to go and say, and make me a sandwich while you're at it.
This movie's so sexist. It had to happen.
I almost expected him to make a sandwich joke. That's how sexist it was. And that's pretty bad when you're already writing the sexist jokes for the movie.
Yeah, so basically they end up killing all the guys in there, exhausting all of their booby traps and what seems to be their ammo.
And then Mr. Silva
and
comes
then
there
Mr.
in
Silva
fanfare. Like, what kind of music was playing even?
Show tunes, I guess. I don't know, but it was getting dangerously close to show tunes. He comes in this helicopter, and did you say you think it was like an Austrian?
Yeah, it had the seal, or what looked to me at least like the seal of the Austrian army, especially the flight part. And I would know this because one of my older brothers is in the Austrian army. He's doing his military service, serving the military service there. And I've been to he's like in one of the compounds where they have their planes and their choppers and stuff like that. And I've been to one of their shows, and their signal is basically the red circle with the white upside down triangle in it. And that was on the helicopter. And I thought, okay, so either he stole this from the Austrian government, or somebody didn't do his research.
Or they're Austrian mercenaries. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's never explained. We don't explain stuff in this movie.
I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe it's just me. I'm gonna have to ask my brother about it if he's seen the movie. But it looked like it was the Austrian sigil to me.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty simple, but it's very recognizable.
Okay, so yeah, he comes in an attack helicopter with this megaphone underneath it, just blaring this music, and then Bond makes a quip about it of always have to make a show of it or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm not even sure if he said that or if I said that because it was just getting so ridiculous.
yeah, and it was like, and not even a motion of, you killed that one woman whose name I can't remember, who I promised I would get her out of this terrible life, and I just didn't react and she died, or nothing.
It's just like, yeah.
And so we come in, and what he immediately starts doing is he breaks down part of this one barricade, because they barricaded all of the windows and stuff, and he comes and he starts just randomly firing at it.
Yeah, he's trying to blow the place up.
And so what the helicopter does is turn, Gatling gun, and they're just like blowing through it, and
then so finally, Kincaid and M have to escape through the
and
bomb
this is the
cave.
thing of get in the kitchen and make these. You're not telling me what to do. I'm Kincaid. I am not Alfred. And so they get in there, and then they escape through the tunnel.
I bet that in between the firefight, apparently M's been injured or something
Yes,
like that. They showed very conspicuously that she's bleeding and she's holding that.
Yeah, and because in this one guy that she caught, that one guy that I think Kincaid ended up shooting, or maybe Bond did, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But the point is that she was being shot at, and while she was hiding behind this one cabin in her area, and it was like Bond or Kincaid comes up to her and he says, "Are you hurt?" She's like, "Just my pride and my internal organs." And it's like, no, all she says is, "Oh, my pride is hurt." And like, seriously, why would you keep something like this? I just, she shouldn't have come from Pa.
Don't talk French.
Austrian. But
no, it's just French are like the antithesis of everything English, and they would feel offended if you're talking about a James Bond movie and talking French.
Yeah, there is a voice in my head, and it is French, the exact opposite of American. Thank you, little Karibo. But so yeah, so what happens is they end up shooting and like Gatling gun, like pew 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 pew, and so and then they see the car, and they're like, and it was like, boom! It blows up, and then Bond had this look, and I was just like, oh, you blew up my car. It's personal.
Not when he destroyed his girlfriend, not when he blew up the headquarters and killed a bunch of people, not when he blew a hole into the subway and killed a bunch of innocent people.
Yeah, and not when he was hitting on him. No,
it's
you
when
blew
he blows
up my car.
His Austin Martin. That's when.
You bastard! I will never forgive you for this sin. Have you been thinking? He says, think on your sins. Bastard. But so
that shows the dedication between a man and his car.
Yeah, and never mind. But
well, that was random.
it's not showing the time.
Okay.
But
so basically,
yeah. So so then they go in, and Silva starts throwing in a grenade, like incendiary grenades, and things are blowing up. So what basically Bond does is he gets these propane tanks, and he's like, hooda 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 hooda, and he sets them down. He opens them up, and he lights a match on them, and he walks out, and they blow up, and then he goes and starts kicking butt, and and then
at first Silva thinks like, yeah, I've blown the place sky high, but then suddenly
it blows up, and then the helicopter crashes, and it goes right into the house, and then boom, it blows up, and Bond is going through to the Bond cave, and he's like,
then the backdraft almost gets in.
And he's like, I never liked this place, even though I was like, this is a cool house, we even have a secret tunnel.
Why you hate it? You barely lived here.
Yeah. So then he goes in there, and there's a scene reminiscent of Independence Day, and equally scientifically plausible, or at least what I would think.
Yeah.
So he goes in there, and he's running down this long thing, and then the explosion comes in, and it's filling up the thing, and he ducks into a conveniently placed side cave, and then all the flames go past him, and he gets thrown into it. And I'm pretty sure the fire would expand into that and at least suck all the air out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just chalk it up to Bond being Bond, like, ding.
And then suddenly, because Kincaid and know that this is like important that they run away unnoticed, and so in the Dark Knight, the guy who knows this terrain turns on his flashlight,
and they're walking straight out. There's this church that's all the way in the back, and this is where the tunnel opens up near. So you see Silva turn around, and there's just flashlights waving all around. Literally, it's almost like, hey, come and kill us. We're over here.
And then maybe Kincaid was a double agent.
Everyone was a double agent.
Well, nobody tells us that because the movie's stupid.
Yeah.
To a degree. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, I'm not a groundskeeper, and that's what he is. He's a groundskeeper, so he ought to know this place like the back of his hand. But I lived like in a place in Hungary that's like on top of a hill, and sometimes we'd like to go to this watchtower that's like at the peak of it, and you could get a good view of like the city down below. But the thing is, I never used a flashlight, even in the darkest of nights, to get there. I mean, maybe it's because of the streetlights or something like that, but no matter how dark it got, I knew I could confidently find my way there and back, and it was quite a journey. And this guy, his job is to make sure that everything is where it should be on this terrain, that there are no intruders or whatever. He should be able to go there blindfolded, navigate his place blindfolded. And it doesn't matter if he's taking M with him. He should be able to sneak around with her and hobble along.
And hit on her.
Without like using a flashlight. But no, he's their flashlight and he's...
Yeah. And
But he's not just doing it in front of him so that he can see where he's going, but he's waving
yeah,
it
and
like,
literally, when you see it, it's turning around, and it's definitely a plot hole. It's like, why?
It's a, wait, but if he used the flashlight responsibly, then Silva wouldn't see it and the plot couldn't move on.
Yeah.
And that's basically the only reason I can think of why he was like moving it so erratically. Like
There's so many plot points that are connected tenuously by contrivances that this could be a drinking game. Seriously, we need to have a Skyfall drinking game.
Take a shot every time something
Convenient happens.
convenient happens.
Take a shot every time something implausible happens. Ugh, you'll be drunk before the first scene. But yeah.
Take 2 shots for CGI Komodo dragons. Okay, they only appear in the one scene, but still, they deserve a shot.
Down the drink every time a Komodo dragon. Oh, take a shot every time Bond is called old. Yeah. All right. So.
Okay.
So. Basically. Wait. What happened is.
So yeah. Flashlight.
So then Silva's just like, "What the this place just blew up, and everything, and the only light is from the fire, and it actually looks pretty cool." Like I said, lighting can be pretty good in this movie. But so he walks in and he trips over a freaking root, and he gets up, and then Bond, and so then he follows. He goes out there with this one mook, and he's very important. He'll come up later.
Oh yeah.
Remember this guy.
Remember the mook.
So then he goes up there, and they go up into this. Kincaid and M reach this church, and then Bond comes out of the cave, and
he sees that
there's like this ice. He runs up, and there's this ice, and
at this ice lake or whatever.
Yeah, wait. Bond gets out of the cave, and he walks up, and he trips over a root.
It's like, why is everybody tripping over to these roots? What the heck?
Scottish roots, your worst nightmare. So he
goes
goes up.
Silva, the Scottish roots are the real villains of this movie.
Yeah, so he runs onto the ice, and he goes to the ice, and he's like, woo, okay. And then he goes, whoop, 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 and he's running through the little flat foot run where you have to make sure you're not trying to push out the ice, because you'll just end up slipping and falling, and the ice was cracking, so he had to keep moving.
And then Silva's
so he's running, and then there's a bang bang, and then there's like some shots, and so he's like, he's sliding, he's like, everybody gone surfing. But so then he stops, and then he's basically like Bond. He's like, why are you doing this? I'm trying to kill someone here. And then Ninja Flunkie. That's what she called him. It's like,
he literally, James Bond is standing here, and then Ninja Flunkie's like,
it's like literally out of nowhere, because you got a full shot of Bond running on this, on the ice, and this guy pops out of absolutely nowhere.
He's just like, I'm behind you now, and you didn't notice me because I'm a ninja.
Yeah, I'm a ninja. But so yeah, he comes out there, and then Bond grabs the guy's gun and ends up making him fire it into the ground, and they fall into the water. Okay. And then Bond dies of hypothermia, and
the movie's over.
And then Kincaid becomes the new James Bond. No, I'm just kidding. You see, Bond survives on freezing water by struggling and choking this guy.
And then goodbye, Ninja Flunkie. We hardly knew ye.
Yeah. So they're sinking all the way down, and he's so, after he chokes them, and he goes to swim up, and he's like, "Oh, I can't see where that hole is. Whoops." Now I thought that when water is that cold, it freezes back over, at least a thin layer.
Yep.
But no, so Bond runs down and he grabs the flare gun. I'm like, oh, so he's going to go up to it and shoot it up there, at least weaken the ice. No, he fires it and he sees the hole. I'm like, oh, then he starts swimming up. And then Silva comes in and he has this super creepy moment with M. And so he walks in, stumbling, and he's like, I'm crazy.
And yeah, I guess this was supposed to be like a dramatic moment or something, but it just...
It's laughable because of Mr. Bardem's overacting. And honestly, people were like, "Oh my gosh, he's such a great actor," and I got moments of Heath Ledger again. It's like
I could stand Heath Ledger's acting, but
it's like
especially because for Heath Ledger, he's been always the pretty boy or something like that. Broke my mouth. But this is like seriously against type for him, so that he was able to pull off being this really messed up guy. That was like
he became a messed up guy and got himself killed.
Yeah, that's
and then
less
he claimed
violent.
and then he claimed
But
and then he got declared the greatest actor of the human race. Yeah. Okay, I got tired of all that crap that people were saying about that. And Aaron Eckhart did a much better job as Two-Face, though I don't like how that happened. But get off the Dark Knight.
yeah, we're talking about Skyfall here.
Yes, the Dark Sky. All right, so basically.
So yeah, he's having this creepy moment, and then James Bond.
So he goes up to M and he's like, oh no, what did they do to you? I'm like, you've been trying to kill her, but it's that, oh, she must be mine. It's like chill the heck out, dude. It's like, and so then he puts the gun in M's hand. And he puts it up to her head and puts his head on the other side, and he's like, "End it for both of us." I'm like, "Wait, you're a Death Seeker too?" And then she sits there for like a minute or something. Like, I'm just gonna say this is really awkward. So then, and then he comes out and he turns out Bond had thrown a knife. It's the knife that Kincaid went up and he's like, "Sometimes the old-fashioned ways are the best."
Again.
Take a shot. But
oh yeah, that should be. Take a shot for every time someone says sometimes the old-fashioned way are the best.
Yeah.
Because they literally say that phrase.
Yes, and so it comes in, and this guy Mr. Silva just falls to his knees, but
the thing is, the look on his face is not the look of a person who's been deprived of his suicide. It's the look of a person who's been deprived of his
teddy bear.
Of his teddy bear. He's like, yeah, you're sure. Yeah. I was trying to do double suicide with Judi Dench. What the heck, man?
And then this is the scene where James Bond should have said, "Have you been thinking on your sins?" and punches him or something. Yeah. There's so many places that they missed Bond one-liners. So,
but then Silva goes and dies, and then M dies.
So
and that was, I guess, that was sort of an emotional moment, but it's soured by the fact that this was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to say is that if M died, I would hate this movie because I understood that she had to retire, but I just don't get. Writers seem to think that because
retiring is a sign of weakness,
and someone must die. So they had to kill her off. It blows my mind that someone would do that. And I said it before. Spoilers for Doctor Who fans is that they pulled an Amy and Rory. Is that they spend the entire movie getting us used to the idea of M stopping and quitting and being forced to retire. Doctor Who spent an entire episode of
Amy and Rory
during the Year of the Long Invasion of getting us used to the idea that they'll stop traveling with the Doctor. The next episode they travel with the Doctor and then die. It was just like, no, I was so emotionally ready to let go. Well, I was ready for there to be a new M. But then she died and you're just like, what the crap? And then there's an emotional moment and then Bond is on top of a roof in a coat and a scarf.
And Money Quarters.
Money Quarters comes up and she gives him a box and it had this pug with the British flag on it that M had on her desk, and it's basically a sign that he should continue his work. So
because M never stopped until she died.
Yeah, it's unnecessary. But so then they go to the office now. They go back to the old offices from the old Bond movies, one with the big padded door, and while this is cool and another nod to the old Bond movies, it felt necessary. Shouldn't you be worried about having a more secure location rather than having a place that's nostalgic?
Yeah.
So anyway, we find out that Eve was Moneypenny in this scene, or as I like to call her, Money Quarter, since she's not Moneypenny. Moneypenny was, from what I remember, she's always a nice or at least kind woman, or who's, so I guess sometimes a little sassy or something. I don't remember. It's more like it's in the old Bond movies, but
I don't know what's up with Moneypenny. So.
But Moneypenny was.
I know she's secretary.
She was the secretary to M.
Mm-hmm.
So then we see that we find out that Ralph Fiennes has become the new M. And as my mom said, it's the boys' club again. After having a woman as M for over
10 odd years.
Yeah, at least 15 years. Now we have it's all the boys again, and it was like, and then
Ralph Fiennes says, "I don't want to be known as Voldemort for the rest of my life. I'm being M now."
Yeah, and then of course Money Quarter is just like, oh, I can't do a field job, so I'm taking a position as a secretary.
It's like, I barely tried. If they would have showed more scenes of her asking it, she decided, you know what, this isn't my cup of tea.
Yeah, but she seemed more apt for field duty. She just needed to get it reined in more. So it came across as unnecessary and a bit sexist. Because women in this movie are either killed, underdeveloped, incompetent, or a nasty combination of the three.
Yep.
So overall, and that's where it ends, and it's basically like the adventure continues. So we have Skyfall.
Yep.
And wow, I don't think there was anyone cheering at the end of that movie when I saw it either time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it was intentional that they wanted them to cheer or something, but I guess they wanted to make this like, what? This was the big friggin' movie of all the big friggin' movies because 50th years anniversary, and look at what the big change that we've done, and died on screen and stuff.
In a completely unnecessary manner. Woohoo!
Yeah, the computers are awesome.
CGI Kimono Dragon!
See there? Okay. So, I guess this is the end.
This is the end of the discussion.
And my last words are, if you ever find yourself in Shanghai, beware the CGI Komodo dragons, because they are ravenous.
Punch a bear in the face.